Is hit it.
The Roger Report live morning show, weekdays at 9 a.m.
Say y'all, I was on Roger's panel a few times and I couldn't take it. The heat. I got out the kitchen. It was hot. I was sweating. I had to get out.
He's Roger, and he's right.
Check this out.
We can live or die. You choose. I have spoken to you a lot of times in hatred and anger, and you have not heard me. Well, you had better hear me today. If you won't listen to me when I make an appeal for the Negroes because you have no concern for the Negroes, listen to me when I make an appeal for America. You claim you love America. Well, we love America. But you are driving us back and you are making a Samson out of us, and we are going to pull down the pillars. And then you think we have no right to ask for something? Is it too much to ask you to grant us human dignity? Should we be put down and shot to death for this request? If so, you can aim your guns. What the hell do you think we care about dying if you're going to deny us the right to live?
Good morning, folks, and welcome to another edition of the Roger Report Live, the best show on social media. If you are new to the channel, go ahead and take a moment out to hit that like button, because this is where you're going to find the best content on social media, and you don't have to worry about it because you're going to have me right here to make sure that happens. And if you've already been coming to the channel for a while, then go ahead and hit that like button, because you already know what time it is, and you know that this is where you're going to get the best content on social media. It's not a mystery to you at this point. You've seen other people do it. You've seen other people do it well. But what you have not seen is anyone do it quite the way I do it. So make sure you hit that like button. And everyone, yes, everyone, take a moment out to share the content, y'all. There are so many people who need to get great content like this, and it's just a small thing you can do to help the world be a better place. And isn't that what we want at the end of the day? Don't we want the world to be a better place? Of course we do. So share the content now. Share it through your social media. Share it through word of mouth, or even text someone's phone. But do what you got to do to help spread the word. All right, folks, today we are back. Of course, over here at Roger Report Live, we're going to have another interesting show. And today we are going to deal with something that I believe is becoming a very prevalent thing amongst Black folks, y'all. And there's ways to highlight certain things that we see out here. So I am highlighting one of the ways that I see it. Well, one way I believe is easy for people to see. Today we're going to talk about Black men's work ethic versus the single mother mentality, y'all. Yep, Black men's work ethic versus the single mother mentality. And one way we're going to use to highlight this, we're going to have a little bit of talk about that load management situation. I'm sure most people are aware of the load management situation. And most people are aware the NBA is back on NBC, and they made this big old deal with Michael Jordan. And we got clips coming out from an interview that he did. Some interesting stuff coming out that situation. We're gonna tune in a little bit with that today. But before we go too far into this, first of all, let me take a moment out, to give shout outs to everybody who gives views to the channel, because I definitely appreciate the folks who give consistent viewership for real. Shout out to everybody who just came to even check it out here or there. But the consistent viewership, I appreciate it big time. Shout out to everybody who hits the like buttons on the videos. And y'all keep in mind, it doesn't make a difference how long the stream has been up. Anytime you find it, it's a great time to hit that like button. Okay, you may have found something. Maybe it was up for 2 months, but you found it. So go and hit that like button. Okay, it all helps at the end of the day. It all helps. Shout out to everyone who's hyped me up. Okay, there's a button to hype me up. Y'all hype me up every chance you get. Real talk, real talk. And shout out to everybody who goes above and beyond to become financial contributors to the channel. And I want to say thank you. And y'all keep in mind, all money on the wood is good at the Roger Report Live. Ain't nothing too big or too small. Okay? Ain't nothing too big or too small. I appreciate it all. Real talk. And so shout out to Anthony R. He is the sponsor of today's stream. Appreciate you big time. Appreciate you big time. Now, y'all, there's an interview floating around, or at least a clip of the interview floating around that came from the NBA on NBC. Of course, there's links in the description, y'all. And y'all, before you check out a show, you may want to check to see if there are links in the description, because sometimes we're using links that are being referred to during the show. This will be another one of those times. And what I also want to say is shout out to my main man, Michael Jackson, y'all. I mean, I know he's not with us anymore. Now, we have honored Michael Jackson because he definitely got a grand finale over here at the Roger Report Live, which is a great series that we do at the Roger Report Live. We'll have another one coming up soon. Well, there's always one coming up. There's always one coming. Long as I'm alive, there's always a grand finale coming up. Okay, but we definitely honor Michael Jackson with a grand finale. Great, great talent, y'all. And just have to give him a shout out because y'all see something that I never personally paid attention to, but I'm glad he did it how he did it. Michael Jackson always taking the time out to give. If he has something to say, he gonna say it to the black folks. Okay? If he has something to say, he would say it to black people. Now, could Michael Jackson talk to white publications? Absolutely, he could. He could talk to Rolling Stone. He Michael Jackson. Y'all think Rolling Stone ain't never tried to talk to him? I mean, come on now. But it's a beautiful thing that he did that. So shout out to Mike. More of his greatness on display. More of his greatness on display. So I wanted to make sure y'all. And black men do so many great things, y'all. I've been trying to make sure I stick something in there. And I'm going to try to do a better job of sticking something in every day that just shows how black men are just great at all levels. Not just celebrities, but in general, black men are just the great people. It makes sense that we're the best fathers America has to offer because we're the best men America has to offer. And that's just real talk. But let's get into the subject of the show. My main man, Michael Jordan, y'all. Yes, Michael Jordan is what we like to call a living legend over here at the Roger Report Live. There's only a few living legends out there. There's only going to be one made per year. One of the highest honors you can get. And definitely the highest honor you can get at the Roger Report Live. As a man, to become a living legend, y'all, the first living legend over here at the Roger Report Live was Jesus Christ himself, okay? The black Jesus, not surfer Jesus. I know people think Jesus and they see that white surfer guy. No, I'm talking about the real Jesus Christ, the one that actually lives. The one who died and actually got out the grave. He's still living. That one. That number one, first living legend over here at the Roger Report Live. Second living legend over here at the Roger Report Live, our main man, Michael Jordan. Okay, our main man, Michael Jordan. Okay, and matter of fact, let me do this real quick too, because I'm starting to get on the roll. Shout out to the people who check in right away when we first get the show started. It's always good to see people check in when you first start a show. And I ain't saying nothing about that, y'all. So my bad, y'all. My bad. And my main man, Trail Bentley, first one in, who represents proudly every day. And I appreciate him big time for it. He is what we like to call around here the Highlander of today's stream. So shout out to Trail Bentley, the Highlander of today's stream. And yeah, you had to have a very watchful eye to get our Highlander today. So shout out to my main man, Trail Bentley. Hashtag long live the habitual line steppers. Hashtag Negroes in the wilderness. Hashtag dignity over vagina. Hashtag Al Gore's babies. Hashtag hell Hydra. Shout out to you, my brother. Shout out to you. My main man, Gold P, is in the building as well. Great to see you, Gold P. Great to see you. The Righteous Teacher is in the house. Shout out to you, my brother. Shout out to you. Afro Merchant is in the building. Good to see you, brother. Urban Reed has a seat at the cool table. Glad to have you. Glad to have you. Shout out to Inspired Truth Broadcast. Good to see you, fam. Good to see you. We also got my main man, the pit master himself, the one who helps keep some order around here. Chef Mike's Roundtable is in the building. Shout out to Chef and the pit crew. Great to have you. Great to have you. We also got Kevin 3905 in the building. What's good, my brother? Superstar Jay Quick is here. What's good? What's good? Glad to see you. Glad to see you. We got Shogun Anakon in the building. Good to have you. Good to have you. Patrick Saint is in the building. What's happening, my brother? What's happening? The Night's Place is here. Great to have you. Great to have you. Y'all, we gonna get into a heck of a show, y'all. Shout out to all my hoes demonetized. He is in the house with my main man, Trash Bandit is also in the building. And it's great to see y'all. Great to see y'all. Y'all, we gonna get into this heck of a show if you ask me. So shout out to Michael Jordan, a living legend over here at the Roger Report Live. Okay, we got Jesus Christ himself, y'all. We got Michael Jordan. We got Robert Smith. These are the living legends, okay? The living legends. My main man, Deion Sanders, also a living legend over here at the Roger Report Live. And my main man, Bill Cosby, a living legend at the Roger Report Live. Very select group of people. Hard to get in it. Hard to get in it. It's only going to be room for one a year, y'all. Only going to be room for one a year. Real talk. Real talk. I'm laughing. I'm laughing at Kevin in the chat. Now, y'all, that load management conversation came up. You know, that load management conversation. Matter of fact, shout out to Patrick Saint. Did I say Patrick Saint? You want to make sure I said you too. Okay, shout out to you. But that load management came up, y'all. There were some reactions that people made to this load management conversation. That load management conversation was a very interesting conversation. Now, there was some things said that I kind of understood because Michael Jordan had already said certain things in the past. They talked about it from an NBA perspective, load management. And Michael Jordan was on some load management. What's load management? Y'all talking crazy. Y'all talk now. I'm paraphrasing because he didn't say it like that. He said it in a more Michael Jordan distinguished way. Load management, what is that? Because Michael Jordan didn't believe in load management. Okay, he believed you go out there and you put your best foot forward. And you ain't got to worry about all that other stuff coming behind. Okay? See, that's something that I believe in myself. When you do it, go out there, put your best foot forward. If you're going to be disappointed in yourself for not putting your best foot forward. Real talk. Not putting your best foot forward. But Michael Jordan believed in when he got there, he going to put his best foot forward. So Michael Jordan played every game that he could play in. Okay? If I can play, I'm going to play. Now, keep in mind, even though we're saying play, playing basketball was his job. Okay? Playing basketball was his job. Yes, you play in practice. Yes, you practice different moves. You add different elements to your game. All that is what you get paid to do. All that is what you get paid to do. Now, Michael Jordan liked to party a little bit, you could say. Michael Jordan liked to kick it, you know. A lot of people had things to say about how Michael Jordan kicks it. You know, people talk about him gambling, you know, and let's keep it real. He could gamble in a way that other people couldn't. Well, he could gamble with more money than other people could because he just had more money than other people. But even when it comes to gambling, whether you agree with that or not, he was out there kicking. That was just the way he kicked it. Okay. Now, Michael Jordan was out there partying the best way he could, not just gambling, all kinds of stuff. Michael Jordan kicked it. Okay. He was one of them people that work hard, but he plays hard. Now, I'm going to say Michael Jordan, he worked harder than he played. Okay. He worked harder than he played. And when we talk about work, we're talking about him playing basketball. So don't get lost in the words. We're talking about him playing basketball. He did it in practice. Michael Jordan is known that even in a practice, he is playing like his game 7 in the finals. That's how his peers have described it. He practiced like his game 7 in the finals. He wanted people to understand the certain pressures you would have to face when you get out there and you're trying to win a championship. Now, Michael Jordan did it before he won NBA championships, and he did it after he won NBA championships. Michael Jordan was even concerned with how he might ruffle some people's feathers when The Last Dance came out, because people were going to see a little bit more insight into Michael Jordan. Now, this is the thing, y'all. With all that partying Michael Jordan did, he wasn't feeling no load management. Okay, he just wasn't feeling it. All right, now, man, I'm trying to play. It's people that come out here, and see, I know, and Michael Jordan gave a piece of this in this particular interview. Michael Jordan been saying for years, man, it's people who work, save up money to come out to a game. Okay. Michael Jordan respected the fact that might be the only time they ever get to see him play. Michael Jordan said this, okay? And shout out to him, because he was right. I am one of those people who only got to see Michael Jordan, at a stadium play one time. I'm one of those, y'all. I am one of those, okay? I did get to go to a Bulls game when Michael Jordan was playing. Look, I don't be fretting like some folks do. I tell you, I don't come from money like that. I actually got to go to a Bulls game when Michael Jordan was playing. I only got to do it one time, and that's it. Okay? So shout out to Mike. See, Mike cared about a person like myself. He cared about my dad. Okay? My dad, took his sons to a Bulls game when Michael Jordan was playing. We got to one. That was it. That was it. Have we been to some Bulls games after Michael Jordan stopped playing? Yeah, we done been to a few after he stopped playing. A little easier to get in at that time. A little easier to get in at that time. But I only made it into one game when he was playing. Them prices kept shooting up, y'all. Prices, y'all know how it go. And Michael Jordan cares about that. He cared about the guy who could only come up with the money once to get in there. And he cared about that not just in Chicago, but every city that he played in across the country. Okay? I believe Kobe Bryant took that exact same thing and made it part of his legacy. Matter of fact, I know for sure he said, because I believe his wife mentioned it at his funeral. He took that same thing and made it a part of his legacy too. Now, Michael Jordan comes from a good 2-parent home. Okay? Shout out to the Jordan family. Michael Jordan comes from a good 2-parent home. Kobe Bryant also came from a good 2-parent home. And even though their job was playing basketball, okay, they took it seriously. They took it very seriously. This load management concept is crazy work. Now, we don't need to see what Kobe would think about load management. We saw it when he played, y'all. I mean, Kobe famously was out there, jammed his finger up, went right back out there in the game. Kobe Bryant tore his Achilles, went back out there and shot the free throws. That's work ethic, y'all. That's work ethic. Black folks have been able to do a lot of stuff since slavery came to its official end, because you still can be a slave in America if you're convicted of a crime. So we're not going to pretend slavery don't exist. As long as you're convicted of a crime, you can still legally be enslaved in this country. But shout out to all my people listening around the world. Always great to have you here as well. Okay. Always good to have you here as well. Okay. And I'm gonna say shout out to Kevin. I seen that last comment. Real suspicious how it popped up on my screen. I'm just gonna say that. But see now, y'all, what I'm saying is, when you think about it, slavery came to an end. We had a work ethic, better than anyone else's, bar none. Okay. And I do like the attitude that Black people had. I don't like the situation. No, I don't like the situation, but I do like the work ethic mentality they did develop because of a bad situation, which I think we should still use it to this day. Okay. Not that we should accept the conditions, but it was an idea that was going around amongst Black folks to say you work twice as hard to get half as much. And I do believe that mentality has made us some of the greatest people that have existed. Okay. We've been able to accomplish a lot of great things because we have this mentality of you work twice as hard to get half as much. I'm not saying we should work twice hard to get half as much. I'm saying when we work, that is a good mentality to take into a work situation, regardless of what you're doing. If you're doing construction, good mentality to have. Okay. Heck, if you're doing accounting, shout out to Black Guru, good mentality to have. Okay. I don't care what you're doing. I don't care if you're the bagger at the grocery store and it's your very first job. Good mentality to have. Real talk. Now, load management has come up in the NBA, and I'm just using this to highlight what I believe is something that spreads around the Black community as a whole. Okay. When you think about the collective of all the different people in all the different sections of the Black community. And I think it's having an effect on even sports. And I think load management is actually a result of that single mother mentality. Now, people may say, well, how could single mother, what are you talking about? Single mothers? What? We're talking about the NBA. Technically, ain't they ran by white men? Think about that. Ain't that ran by white men? Do single mothers and white men not get along? Ooh. Yep. I'm talking about the Black single mother. Don't the Black single mother get along with the white man? Now, I know they done had a little bit of a thing going on. And you know what? I forgot to put the clip in. Shout out to Trump, because they didn't open up the government again, y'all. They didn't open the government up again, okay? It's back open. I think it was closed. I think it was 43 days that I heard, 43 days maybe, as a record. But generally, the white man, I'm talking about that government, and that single mother, they get along. Because she don't trip on nothing that white man talking about. So now you take a single mother mentality and you start putting it into a bunch of players in the NBA. Now, I'm not calling out no particular NBA player. What I'm saying is there's single mothers, children that are in the NBA now. You start talking to people for a long time, you start to influence them. So now, has that single mother mentality been so prevalent in the NBA that now we doing load management? Because I'm just using this as an example, y'all. I'm just using this as an example. Black men had a very, very strong work ethic. Very, very strong work ethic. There are a lot of Black men to this day that have a very, very strong work ethic. And there's even some Black men who overcome that single mother mentality and they still get a strong work ethic. But let's think about this, y'all. Yo, we have the Pookie out there. Now, Pookie is just a guy, he grew up. He made it past his 18th birthday. Now, he probably has a high school diploma, but let's be realistic, a good amount of them wouldn't even have a high school diploma and wouldn't have a GED. There's a good amount of them that won't even graduate high school. We got to be real about that. Okay? Pookie could get a job. Pookie don't have no desire to really have no job. Or if he gets a job, he gonna get out of that job in 2-3 months because he don't really want to work for nobody. He don't even want to work for himself. Okay? He don't even want to work for himself. Okay? Now, Pookie, he out here, he messes with black women. Proof black women don't have any standards. Okay? Pookie can even have a bunch of babies by black women. More proof that black women don't have any standards. Y'all, and we got to deal with reality. In reality, if you're around somebody's a good enough amount of time, you're going to influence them or they going to influence you. It is what it is. So, black women have created a quote unquote lazy nigga situation. Black women have created that. Without black women, you cannot have men that are of age, okay, can work, no real work ethic, and not really trying to do stuff at a higher level. Now, of course, everybody ain't going to achieve the highest level, but we all can make our attempts. And because black men, some of them have been exposed to the single mother mentality for so long, they don't have no work ethic. Okay, the work ethic is trash. Okay, it's just a trash work ethic. Now, I'm going to say, even for people who have played in the NBA, which is a dream, okay, people dream about playing in the NBA. Has that single mother mentality been seeping into the NBA a little too long at this point? Because based on what I know, load management is one of the bigger problems in the NBA right now. Okay? They're not necessarily doing the numbers the way they were doing the numbers. I'm talking about ratings. Okay? They're not necessarily getting the same ratings that they used to get. But you have more of this, what I believe is a single mother mentality going on, because load management is an actual thing amongst the team at this point, y'all. Now, when I was a kid watching the NBA, the idea of load management would sound crazy to me. Okay? But then again, who I used to watch on a regular basis, y'all? I just so happened to grow up in Chicago. Now, y'all know I root for the home team. Y'all know that about me if you've been rocking with me for any period of time. My home team just happened to be the Bulls. From a basketball standpoint, it just happened to be the Bulls. So me thinking about load management, that sounds crazy to me, y'all. That sounds crazy. Well, it would have sounded crazy to me even way back when. Even way back when. All right. Now, I'm going to tell you, as a person that grew up the way I did, all right, I remember, I literally said this to somebody. I got some job. Yeah, I told you I don't work a bunch of jobs. I was trying to be a rap artist, so I was, bouncing here and there a little bit, but I worked some job. I remember a manager saying to me, I'm going to be honest with you, it's going to be a good workload over here. Okay. And the thing is, can you handle the workload that's going to come at this particular job? A lot of people can't necessarily handle it. Okay. I think I know which company did it, but I'm not going to say. Well, I ain't going to say the company name anyway. But I do believe I have an idea of who it might have. I might have had this conversation because I had this conversation with an actual manager, a hiring manager, or they were more than a hiring manager. But when it was time to get hired, when I'm in there trying to get the job, part of the interview or whatever, and I just told them the straight up truth. I said, there is no amount of work that y'all are going to assign me that's going to make a difference to me because of how much work I had to do just growing up at home. Okay. Y'all ideal of a lot of work is probably not my ideal of a lot of work. And it just is what it is at that point. Okay. I have never, ever been given an assignment that was too big. Okay. I don't even see assignments that way. You know, and I know I've told this to different managers or whatever, but I know at one particular time, just even getting hiring, they were trying to say, man, are you sure you want this? Because they wanted to make sure it was going to be able to have somebody who wasn't going to just quit in a day or two. I'm like, man, what y'all do is nothing compared to what I've had to do, you know, under the orders of my mother and father. You know, and I was being dead serious. Dead serious. I don't think you can give me that much work that is going to make a difference to me. I just don't believe you can give it to me because I don't believe it exists. So if I were able to make it in the NBA, okay, now that God didn't bless me with that type of talent, but if I were able to make it in the NBA and somebody started talking to me about some load management, I don't think I would have a good reaction to it. Because why would I not want to play? If my dream is to play in the NBA and I actually make the dream happen, how are you going to try to keep me out of a game? That don't even make sense to me. So wait a minute, I'm blessed with all this talent and I actually make it into the NBA and now you're going to keep me out my dream? I would be offended by that idea. Now, you might be able to find some folks who have a different way of thinking, but no, I would be offended by the idea that a coach is going to sit me for a game on some just cuz. Okay? That would bother me. Shout out to Ken Sin. He say load management is perfect for guys that like to load. They like to load their team. I ain't gonna say no names, LeBron James, but I think a shot was just taken. That's what I believe happened right there, y'all. I believe a shot was just taken. And I'm not gonna get into an argument about certain. Well, that's not my intention anyway. Okay, not my intention to argue who the best is and who not the best. What I am saying though, is it the fact that we have too much single mother culture that is infiltrating the NBA, that people like the idea of not playing as much? People have accepted this idea because I couldn't see how, I made my dream come true and I actually get to play in the NBA. And then a coach telling me, well, we're not going to go tonight because, you're not going to go tonight because we have this particular team in front of us right now. Okay. That's crazy work. And my thing is, that just ain't how black men are supposed to get down. Black men had an incredible work ethic. Now, I get it. Ever since slavery came to an end, people would use propaganda and try to push that black men were lazy. It's like black men were fine because they were slaves. Okay. And then even though we was doing all this work during slavery, as soon as slavery came to this quote unquote official end in 1865, now we was a bunch of lazy niggas. And this lazy nigga narrative has been pushed since 1865. Let's be real about this, y'all. This narrative been pushed since 1865. So to be in 2025 and as a black man, you get to live the dream of playing in the NBA And let's keep it real. It's not really like it's the bench players. No, it ain't them. It's the stars. Okay. Or the people that's got a good enough limelight for that team. You know, the strong players on the team. It ain't the bench. The bench gonna get out there because they trying to keep a job in the NBA. they gonna get out there when it's time to get out there. You ain't gonna have to convince them like that. But no, it's the bigger names. So the guys you literally came to see may not play over quote unquote load management. It don't even sound right to me. Okay, it don't even sound right to me. I'm a star, and you telling me I can't play? You know, and I'm just thinking to myself and my mentality. The type of mentality I have, if I actually got to live that dream, and I actually not just got in the NBA, I became a star player in the NBA, or at least a strong, solid player that's a starter on the team, and somebody told me I couldn't play, man, is you out your mind? You know how much work I did to be able to get out here in one of these 82 games? We ain't even got to be making the playoffs. Okay, I got 82 guaranteed. If we play well enough as a team, I get more. Okay? We do 82 as a team. If we do well, we get more games. And you're going to tell me I can't play? Now, I'd be ready to fight my coach to tell me I cannot play. Okay? I ain't got no injury, but you telling me I can't play. Well, you know, we play in the Raptors tomorrow, so we don't really need you out there. We believe we can handle this team without you. You know how much I did to be in this position, and you gonna tell me I can't play? And that's no shot to the Raptors. You know, this could go for any team. You know, it could be one of the worst teams in the NBA. It could just be a matchup situation or whatever the case is. So I ain't taking no shots at NBA teams right now. Okay, I ain't taking no shots. But I'm saying you can't tell me I can't play, and that's just gonna be cool. Now, I'm not saying how the players have either accepted or rejected this idea of load management. All I know is it's happening. Where the work ethic at? Okay, where the work ethic? Okay, real talk. Shout out to the great pretender. I'm just curious of what you're saying here. You say load management is not even working. Is not even working in compensation because work comp will find you a job first before paying you. Yeah, they don't like to pay that out. You ain't lying about that. They don't like to pay you for nothing. That's for sure. They don't like to pay you for nothing. Yo, you ain't lying about that. Okay. Now, now y'all know these corporations ain't trying to pay nobody for not working. That's a general thing. If you go on unemployment, I mean, there's companies that will fight people about unemployment. Why? Because they don't want to pay nobody up to I believe it's up to 6 months you can get unemployment if you're fired. They don't want to pay nobody up to 6 months to come in, well, to not come in and work, and it's guaranteed. They're just not trying to pay that money. You know, and if it's your company, you should be able to understand that perspective. Would you want to pay somebody to not come in and work? Now, I don't understand how the NBA even really got to the point of saying we're going to pay somebody and not have them play, because I'm gonna say I'm not a good enough accountant to understand that math. I personally am not a good enough accountant to understand that math. Now I understand you want players for the playoffs. If your team making it to the playoffs, you want to make a championship run. You want to make sure somebody's around for the finals and all that type of stuff. Anybody can get injured at any given time, and you're not gonna know the severity of the injury. I get all that. Okay. I'm from Chicago. I'm from a town that, in spite of ownership and management, that I got to enjoy a lot of championships when I was a young person. Okay. When I was a kid, up until, I mean, our last victory was in 2016. Okay. I was a small child, but I got to see, I was there when the Bears won. I'm not going to say I got to see that and experience the way I want to, because I want to see them win again, because I didn't really have memories of the experience of watching them win. Okay. So I want to see the Bears win one more. Okay. Because that's who not necessarily miss it. I didn't enjoy it the way I would have liked to enjoy it. You know? So technically I saw the Bears win, but not the way I really wanted to experience it. Too young at the time. All right. I saw the Bulls win 6. Enjoyed them all. Okay. Real talk. Enjoyed them all. All right. Saw the Sox win. I was literally at the game when they won. Okay. Literally there when they won. Okay. All right. I enjoyed it. Okay. I enjoyed it. Okay. Saw the Cubs win in 2016. Now, even though I'm not all that big into hockey, I'm still going to celebrate the victories with them. Seen the Blackhawks get 3 of them. Okay. So I enjoyed the championship atmosphere amongst teams. Okay. And if I really want to be technical, we have a soccer team in Chicago and they don't want a championship. Heck, even our WNBA team won a championship. I totally missed that. I don't even know how that happened, but I totally missed that the Sky for Chicago actually won a championship. I wasn't even aware of. But I'm just saying, championships I won in Chicago in spite of a lot of situations. So for me, the idea of load management sounds like people being lazy. I understand there may be a better way to say it, but what it sounds like to me is people being lazy. Now, when I think about a single mother's mentality, now you add that into a white man's mentality, you add those two things together, would laziness come out of that? Let's think about that, y'all. Would laziness come out of that? The single mother mentality. Okay, not the mamba mentality. No, not the mamba mentality. The single mother mentality. Okay. Now you add that with, I mean, let's keep it real. You got white ownership in the NBA. Commissioner's a white guy. Shout out to Adam Silver. I'm not saying he's doing a bad job per se. I don't think he's looking like David Stern right now. Okay, I'll just say this. He and I'm gonna give him this type of credit too. Stern was some big shoes to fill. Okay, David Stern was some big shoes to fill. So I don't know if anybody was gonna come in right behind David Stern and be able to command the respect of the owners and players the way he did, because different type of guy. He did a pretty fantastic job, and he helped move the NBA along from a lot of different situations, and he was the commissioner as it became a global thing. Okay. So him being in that seat at the time that he was in that seat, man, gonna look good. Now he's passed away at this point. Rest in peace to him. He's passed away, but that was gonna be some big shoes for anybody to fill. Okay. Adam Silver, all I can say is good luck at this point. But is load management gonna help? Now, I'm not saying load management idea is. I'm not saying that's Adam Silver's idea. I don't know who came up with load management. I don't know. I actually meant to look that up. Okay, but I don't know who came up with load management. Is it a smart idea? I don't think so. I just don't. I think that's a lot of. I think it creates a situation where you have a group of people, this select group of people that they gets to play in the NBA and make all the money that they make. This very select group of people, you are keeping them from being out there and doing their thing. There's so many everyday average working Americans want to go to a game and see them play. And now we can't even trust that they'll be on the court. To me, that's problematic. You know, why the ratings would go down, it makes sense to me. Now, I don't have time to sit around and watch games like I used to. All right? But if I'm going to sit down and watch a game, I want to watch the best players, do their job. Now, I will focus heavily on the Bulls, but what about the games that I will watch outside of a Bulls game? Because the Bulls is my squad. They're going to always be my squad. You know what I'm saying? To the day I die, that's my squad. Okay, whether they doing poor or whether they on top, that's my squad. It is what it is. But if I'm going to watch a game that doesn't include the Bulls, I mean, would I want to watch Utah without their best player? Does that make any sense? Do I want to watch Philly without their best player? You know, would I want to see Portland without their best player? No, that's just not the world I would live in. That don't make sense to me. So I think it's a lot of bad ideas going on, and these bad ideas just aren't getting challenged at the end of the day. I mean, I ain't trying to dog Adam Silver, but I just don't think it's a good idea to have stars sitting out when they could play. And I'm not even saying it's technically his decision, because when it all comes down to it, at the end of the day, this is going to come on top of the coach. Now, technically, owners could be involved in making these decisions. I don't know if they really are. It's hard to tell how much an owner is going to be involved with unless he's like a more verbal owner, like when Mark Cuban was the top guy for the Dallas Mavericks, because he sold he sold it where he still owns the Dallas Mavericks. He's an owner, but he's just not the majority owner anymore. Now, I would say this: Cuban made it plain he wanted to win, so I can believe Cuban was doing whatever, or he was in the background making decisions to help his team win. But to help your team lose, that just sounds crazy to me. That sounds crazy. I understand it's a business, but to my understanding, winning makes a lot of money. But we got my main man, Bad Hombre, who's coming up. So welcome to the show, my brother. You got the mic. How you doing?
I'm doing good, thank you. Can you hear me okay? I always
Yes,
like to
sir.
do a mic check.
No, I hear you
Okay,
fine. I hear you fine.
okay. What I wanted to say was this thing with load management, we have to understand that the guys that's in the league now, it always goes back to them, but they was the ones that's been raised by single mothers. Um, when I was coming up, even though you had a few players like, the Isaiah Thomases, most of these guys, either if they didn't go to school, they at least came from a two-parent household like Jordan. And I think that the work ethic was instilled to them by their fathers. The NBA is becoming an unwatchable product. But also, there's another shift coming on. I don't know if anybody else is peeping it. You're trying to market all their superstars as white guys. Jokic, Luca, Austin Reeves, who they were referring to as the Beach Boys, Cooper Flag. So if I was a brother and I was in the NBA, I would be appalled by this. And I would go out there every night and want to dominate. But that's just me and my competitive nature. It is becoming unwatchable, though. And this gambling thing, it's not going away. As a matter of fact, the NBA was at least negligent in the way they handled that Terry Rozier thing. The first time he got caught, the guy should have never been allowed to play another NBA game. And the sad part about it, Roger, he's not the only one. And meanwhile, FanDuel, Prize Picks, and what's that other one? They're making billions of dollars off of this. So what are we really doing here? I'm thinking class action. If nothing else, we have to know that what we're watching is legitimate. So does low management have something to do with what's going on with the gambling?
Interesting thought. I never thought about connecting those two particular things. I mean, I'm pretty sure if people are getting inside information and you know somebody's going to be out the game, yeah, it could play into it like that. I'm not going to say that's the NBA trying to be involved with it. So, I mean, to me, that's just a little bit different of a conversation, but maybe somebody finds out who's going to rest this night and then they give inside information. Yeah, that's going to be problematic. Okay. But I'm not really going at it from the gambling perspective. It's about this mentality of not working hard, and it's cool. Now shout out to the great pretender. I don't know if this is true. I'm accepting him at his word for the moment. He says, I heard Greg Popovich, coach of the San Antonio Spurs, started load management. He would rest Duncan, Parker, and Ginobili before the playoffs. That's an interesting spin. That's an interesting spin right there to say Greg Popovich started it. Now, did he rest those guys here and there? Interesting. Because that may have been true. Now, I wasn't following the Spurs like that that I can say I remember him 100% for sure resting those guys for the playoffs. But it seemed like it might be in my mind vague. Like it might be vaguely a little bit. And maybe that is what became load management,
He was one of the first to do it, Roger.
Yeah, I'm thinking that it could be there could be a lot of validity to that situation. Now,
But
I
these
guess
guys,
if one team I guess if one team's doing it, that's one thing. But if it turns into a regular thing where teams gonna do it, even if they not necessarily even going in the playoffs. Now, I will say this: at least they knew the Spurs was going to the playoffs. That's the one thing you could pretty much count on. Back in those Duncan days, they going to the playoffs. That wasn't no mystery. They didn't. I mean, they did miss the playoffs when David Robinson got hurt, which is how they got Tim Duncan in the first place. But how many years have they went before they missed another playoff? So, they weren't out there trying to just lose. I'll say that. And shout out to Kevin 3905 real quick. He said, Roger, yeah, right. No one would have ever connected MJ to gambling. Nice. Oh, come on, man. No. There. You know what? I'll say this: since you're taking these shots at Jordan for just totally unnecessary shots at Jordan. Jordan, why would you gamble on Jordan except but to win? That's the only thing he was ever trying to do. You ain't never caught Jordan trying to lose. They only caught Jordan trying to win, which is the way it should be. And I do believe the NBA should do the best it can to make sure that everybody knows everybody's trying to win. Because to me, that's how you get your best product out there. Now, I understand somebody may get hurt doing this. That's just the luck of the draw. You should be playing to win. No, go ahead, Bad Brown. I was just going to turn it over to you. I just wanted to say everybody should be playing to win at all times.
Yeah, I just wanted to say something. I wanted to say something about Jordan for the LeBron fans out there. They don't understand that Jordan was a completely different animal, Roger. Jordan treated practice like it was game 7 of the NBA finals. The dude was a competitive psychopath. His drive actually motivates me in my day-to-day life. LeBron doesn't want to compete. That's why he had to form the super team after they ran him out of Cleveland the first time. And the only reason why he went back to Cleveland the second time, it wasn't about going home. It was about playing with Kyrie and Kevin Love, forming another super team. And why did he go to LA and trade away the whole team? Another super team. He didn't want to compete. KD didn't want to compete either. That's why he joined Golden State. So you're right. This new generation of guys, they're wired differently. I don't know if it's a millennial or Gen, what do you call it, Gen Z, Gen Y. They don't really want to compete. They like the perks that comes along with playing in the NBA. They like the check. But as far as actually getting down in the dirt and pulling it up out the mud, they don't want to do that. And that's why the NBA ratings are down. At least that's my opinion.
Now, shout out to you for that statement, my man. Shout out to you, Bad Hombre. And I'm gonna say Kevin 3905 said, cut his mic off. Kevin, this is your fault. Because I don't even think he necessarily mentioned that. If you hadn't said that crazy stuff you said. But I am gonna say now he's making some level of a point, because you start thinking about a single mother's mentality, you start thinking about a white man's mentality, you can't easily come to a conclusion about LeBron not being able to do it in Cleveland on his own. So he jumped ship, go wins in Miami because he made an agreement with two other players. Well, wait, are you going to stay with Miami? Yeah, I'm going to stay. If you know what I'm saying, y'all coming through? Well, yeah, I'm going to come through. What about Bosh? Well, Bosh said, oh, yeah, okay, I'm coming through. Cool. So now that we know we all there, okay, I'm going to go play for Miami. All right. Now he did what he did. They're supposed to win 8 championships, I think he said, but they only got 2. Now he did go
Yes.
back to Cleveland, but yeah, you had Kevin Love and Kyrie Irving to play with at this time, because they were trying to construct the team without LeBron being a presence there. Yeah, and yeah, I did it because I just wanted to go home and win. Okay, you can say that. That ain't the way I saw it, because I'm gonna keep it real too. I didn't see it that way either. I didn't see it as him trying to come home and fulfill a promise. I definitely did not see it that way. I just saw it was a good chance for him to win. And why would you not want to win in your hometown if your hometown finally got some pieces there that you thought you could win with? Because
And
if
why
it
do you
was
think?
about, I'll just
Yeah.
say,
And why
say
do you
this:
think
if
he's
it
hurt
was about
now?
coming home, you would have stayed at home, and there would have been no need to go to LA if it was truly about coming home. That's the way I see it. Go ahead, Bad Embrace. What were you saying?
And I was saying, why do you think he's hurt now? His ego won't let him. His ego can't deal with the fact that Luca is better than him. His ego won't allow the fact that
Ooh.
Austin Reeves is better than him now. So of course he's hurt conveniently. So
Now I'm gonna say this. Because I'm not trying to argue about who the greatest of all time is. That's not technically what we're trying to do today. What I am saying is Michael Jordan had a 2-parent household. Michael Jordan didn't just go from town to town to town. Kobe Bryant came from a 2-parent household. Kobe Bryant didn't just go from town to town to town. Now, Kobe almost left, but that was because he was having his own issues with management. It wasn't because that he just a sore loser or anything like that. So see something happened where Kobe just stayed. Okay, it just is what it is. I mean, LeBron do come from a single mother home, so I'm in the NBA. Let me take every advantage I can so I can get all these accolades that I can without having to necessarily put in the work of other people. That's a strong argument about that single mother mentality. Bad hombre, I got to pat you on the back, my brother. That's a very strong argument about the single mother mentality. I want to be seen as the greatest without truly doing the work to be the greatest. I want to have a long career so I can pad the stats. So people in history, maybe after we did and gone, maybe somebody in history would think I'm the greatest. Interesting.
and for I know you said it's not about the GOAT argument, but we have to keep it real. Jordan went to UNC for 3 years. So LeBron had a 3 year head start on him. So we got to factor that in also.
Well, I mean, yeah, I ain't gonna turn into a greatest of all time type of argument, because I'm my real goal here is to really talk about how this single mother mentality, which I personally believe is directed by white men. You don't have a single mother mentality without them. They were, even on the plantations, putting women as the overseers, and it was their idea that black men should not raise their children, and black women just kind of went with it. And that mentality did something because slavery did come to an end. Segregation did happen, but once segregation ended, black women are just doing what they want to do for the most part, and according to their preference, they do prefer because let's keep it real, y'all. There's men who've been influenced by single motherhood, and they're grown adult men making grown adult men decisions. And single motherhood and white men have always gone together. Hence, now you have load management. I'm just saying. Um, I was about to give it to you, Kevin, 3905, but Black Uru just showed up. So, elder privilege, got to do what I got to do. Black Uru, you got it.
No, I'm not gonna let you do that to Kevin. Let Kevin rock. Go ahead, rock it,
Man,
Kevin.
man, you're a gentleman and a scholar, Black Uru.
Black Uru. Now, you know what this dude is
I saw
on.
what
You
you
know
trying
what
to
this
do
dude
that,
is
Rock.
on.
A gentleman and a scholar, I tell you. That's what? Nah.
Yeah, I saw what you tried to do. I ain't gonna let
You know what? You know what? I ain't gonna lie. I ain't gonna even try to hide my head. I was trying to do it. I was trying to do it.
Once
That's
again,
what we
what?
that's what we call in Chicago when I was growing up a gank move. You know, you try Rock trying to play a gank move.
I sure was right there, like Black Hole, you showed up right on time. That's what I really was on. You showed up right on time. Let me get this dude.
Roger, you ain't no good. You ain't no good. Chef Mike been trying to tell us. I believe it today. You ain't no good.
Bro, I got bruises, man. You been throwing stones from the chair. I got bruises, man. You just think I
Nah,
ain't see it, right?
nah, look at him. Once again, Roger has proven that a cat come up here brand new, get to say all kind of crazy fallacious stuff, and he will not pull the plug. That's what we don't prove today. That's what we don't prove. This is ridiculous. This is ridiculous. But good morning to you, gentlemen. Good morning. It's always a pleasure to hear your voices. To the topic itself, I do agree, man. The best thing any older man ever told me when I was growing up was what you said was you got to be twice as good to get half as much. And that has been my mentality to working my entire life. And it all has always made me a top performer on my jobs and things like that. Um, I'm gonna back it up with a quick story, and then I'm gonna pass the mic. I had a job. I'm not gonna name the company because they ain't paying me. A very famous company. Um, and I had the lowest paying job in the building. The job nobody wanted. I came to work. I kept a good attitude on my face. I was on time. I did extra work. I did everything I had to do the way I was supposed to do it, and I was willing to help anybody else do their job as well. My supervisor came to me one day and asked me, another black man, he said, "Man, you're always in a good mood, and you do your job real well. We appreciate that." He said, "But nobody likes this job." He said, "Man, you like this job?" I said, "No, I love this job." He said, "You love this job, really?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Why you love this job?" I said, "Boss, it's the only job I got." And the man looked at me, and tears came into his eyes. I said, "Man, you got to fall in love with the job you got on purpose, bro. And you got to find a reason to be the best at everything that you do." So I do agree with this load management thing that you got going on. I do agree that I do believe the single mother mentality has affected the NBA, and this is part of it. They're starting to want something for nothing. And I'll drop the mic right there.
Okay. Let me leave this real quick from Chef Mike. He said, "Go ahead while I'm in a good mood. I'm a Detroit Pistons fan, even more specific, Isaiah Thomas." Okay, so if y'all trying to be shady today, I guess y'all be able to get away with a little something more today. I guess that's what I'm reading to that. Maybe that's not what he meant, but that's definitely what I'm reading into it. Real talk. Now, shout out to Isaiah. I was a fan of Isaiah. Was never a fan of the Detroit Pistons, but I'm a fan of Isaiah. But you know what? How much can I root for you when you play for the wrong team? It is what it is. Okay. But
Oh,
shout out to Zeke.
real,
Okay. Shout out to Zeke.
real quick. Bad Hombre says his phone is dying. He'll be back. That's a lie. That's God saying stop telling them lies. That's what that is. That's what that is.
Shout out to you, Bad Hombre. You come on back when you're ready, my brother. All right, Black Guru, you got the flow. Y'all look at Chef Mike talking about he's Roger. Yeah, he's right. He wants the shenanigans. All right, go ahead, Black Guru.
Well, I have some more nuanced views about just working hard in general, but I won't. Maybe I'll go into that later. Um, I think. I think the load management thing is a combination, is a result of a combination of things. Uh, I don't know how significant single mothering is in that formula. Uh, I think the league loads management largely because the ownership and the management wants to load managing as much, if not more, even than the players themselves. And I think it's because of the size and the duration of the contracts, and well, the size, duration, and the guarantees of the contract make such that if I'm going to give Kevin Durant a 200, 300, or whatever $1 million contract, the last thing I want is for him to get injured and not play for a year of the, although that's happened anyway, unfortunately, a number of times for him. But because of his star power, he can demand that kind of contract. So I might load manage him. I might hold him out of games in Sacramento, or let's be real, some of the Charlotte, et cetera, or whatever, where you have the lesser profile, portion of the league, in the hopes of preventing the possibility of him becoming injured, and thus I don't get the benefit of him for an entire year. So I think that is a part of the formula of the current load management of the NBA as actors as well. I think now I do think the players also look. I mentioned Kevin Durant. I was listening to something recently. They said uh, if he collects all the money on his recent re-up or with Houston, he will, through the duration of his career, be paid over $560 million in salaries alone, just salaries. Now, if I can extend my career 2, 3, 4, 5 years with this load management, that in this current uh, economic environment, that's several $100 million. That's several $100 million. So if that means me sitting out 5 or 6 or 7 games a year, uh, a lot of people from two-parent families will consider doing that. So that's the part. I do think to some degree the disciplinary issue is connected with or having personal discipline is an issue. I think, and I think we saw it kind of manifest in contrast to Michael Jordan and let's say Allen Iverson. Allen Iverson obviously come from a more struggle background. And even though he played hard, he did not have the personal discipline to work and practice and develop himself in a way in which he might have been able to to better maximize his career. So I do think parenting is the difference. I think parenting is the difference between, like I say, an Allen Iverson or Michael Jordan, or an Allen Iverson and a Kobe Bryant. Would be another good example. Actually, would be a better example, since they actually were peers during the same time. So I do think that's a factor, but I think the owners and the managers are just as much inclined to load manage players as the players themselves, and I think it's for long term economic reasons on the part of the team. That's why you'll have a coach that will tell Steph Curry to sit this one out, because the owners of those teams want to extend the viability of Steph Curry for as long as possible. So I get that. Sorry if that opening statement was too long, but
No, no, not at all, not at all. You put a lot of interesting stuff in there, and y'all, I do personally believe, the single mother mentality, white man mentality, they're gonna flow together anyway. So makes sense to me. Tunnel Runner, what you got for us, brother?
Roger. I just want to remind the people that his name is Roger, and he's right. But then I want to say, my father told me that he said my sisters can always get a meal. He said, but you can't. So God bless the child that got his own. He said, work hard, and if you work hard enough, you ain't gotta wait for me to die. You'll have your own.
Man, I'm gonna say shout out to your pops. So, shout out to your pops. That's some great lasting advice right there. Real talk, real talk. Okay. Shark Sims, it'll be on you then. Yeah, I'm waiting. You did land your plane, right, Tunnel Runner?
Yeah. That's it.
Okay, just want to make sure. All right, Shark, you got it.
Happy Friday, fellas. How y'all doing today? Thanks, Roger, for letting me up. Y'all can hear me?
Yeah, we hear you
Yes,
great, brother.
sir.
We hear you great.
The load management thing, I really can't blame it on the single mother mentality and all of that stuff, because I really think it's more strategy than anything. Like when you watch baseball, their pitching is load management. You know what I mean? Like, you're not going to run everybody down into the ground. I think that was one of the big problems we had with the Knicks last year, is he had everybody on the damn court for the whole 45 minutes or however long a game is, and nobody ever got rest like that. So, and then when you're not load managing, you got people that could really develop that's sitting on the bench, but they never get a chance to develop. So I think load management is a necessary thing when you're playing strategic. You know what I mean? And as far as the single mother mentality in the NBA and how it's affecting people, I don't think it's that. I think it's more of the feminization of America. Because even back in the days, we had guys that was from single parent homes and they was just fucking beasts. You know what I mean? A Derrick Rose, Allen Iverson, um, just about everybody. You know what I mean? Came from single parent homes. Just about, not everybody, but you know what I'm saying. And they was all beasts. Just treacherous, like, just you don't even want to go downstairs with them guys. You know what I mean? So I think it's the whole feminization of the world that just got these basketball players soft as tissue now. Just look at the way they come into the game. Pocketbooks and puffy jackets, not puffy, like not a like a triple down goose. No, I'm talking about puffs on the jacket, like it's just ridiculous. You know what I mean? Lip gloss on and stuff like that.
but
So I don't think it's that. I
do
think
you think the guys with the puffy jackets and the lip gloss, do you think they were raised by men? I doubt it.
no, but that's what I'm saying. I don't even, because Allen Iverson was from a single parent home, but he was a beast. So I think it's the whole feminization of
No, no,
everything.
no, no. Well, my point is, I think there's a direct connection between the single mother and the feminization. I think they grow up seeing their mama getting dressed to go out, go thotty, and that's their primary, elder example. And so they adopt a male version or male versions of that sort of thing. It's a subconscious kind of thing.
No,
When I was coming up, you wouldn't even have boys around their mothers like that in that way when she was doing her dress up and stuff. I mean, that wasn't even, you got women, twerking in front of their 2-year-old sons and that kind of stuff. I mean, I think the single mothering does or contributes to or helps to create the feminization. That's the point that I'm making.
I agree with Uru, but Allen Iverson, and I like Allen Iverson as a player, but he also showed that he was raised by a single mother. This dude was in and out of jail before he even went to college. And when he came to the NBA, he had long hair like a woman.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, I want to get truth teller in here, but I am gonna say this. A lot of black men have had to overcome their single mother. I'm not saying that it's an impossible task, but there's you take some hits when you got to overcome coming from a single mother home. You take some hits along the way. You can overcome it, but you ain't gonna come unscarred. That's just the way it works.
Well,
Truth,
one
I
thing
want you to get
you
in before.
guys have to consider. Well,
No, go ahead, Black.
one
I'm
thing you
saying.
have to consider. One thing you have to consider is the erosion over time, because when you have sociological erosion, all of it does not necessarily manifest in the next generation. What happens is it manifests in the next generation and the next generation and the next generation. And while Allen Iverson himself might be more manly because Allen Iverson came up under John Thompson and those guys, and those were men of men of men, right? So even though he's in an environment, he grew up in an environment, single mother or whatever, but he's a Gen X. He grew up under boomers. In the case of Thompson, I guess probably was a silent Gen guy. So he was still much more connected to a manly kind of environment. But if you come up now, you're 3 generations into feminization program, going back to the Great Society. So you don't have any connection at all to John Thompson, you know. So that's where when you make the comparisons, if you're making comparisons across generations, it gets tough because you got to consider the difference in the environment in which people come up in over time.
Yeah, and to me, that's very much a part of this conversation. Because Jordan ain't played in decades at this point. Yeah. I think he's been out the league for at least 20 years now. I think his last season technically might have been the 2003 to the 2002 to 2003 season. That might have been the last one he played when he was with Washington. So I think he's been out officially for 2 decades at this point. So his
And
idea
his
of load.
greatest influence would be nearly 30 years because we're talking about really the 90s. So, I mean, when he was at his zenith, it's been almost 30 years.
Absolutely. So, yeah, he's going to have a different perspective than I think than certain people would have in today's time. But I want to get Truth Teller in here. But Truth Teller, I'm right before you go, I want to say shout out to Kevin 3905 who sent in the $5 cash out today. He said for the degradation of the pit crew, shout out to Gold P. Y'all, there's some background stuff going on. Some of us know what that means, some of us don't.
Sometimes you just can't argue with a team effort, Roger. I'm just saying, when you're working well together, we can't fight that. You know what I mean? It's what we ask for. That's all. It's what we ask for. Uru, you touched on something where I was gonna go because I have a slightly different thought to this. And I don't think it's just single mother mentality. I think it's a feminine mentality, period. Right? As women, even the married ones, their positions have changed in their marriages. They're taking on more of a leadership role. They expect equality in more aspects of their relationship. right? Not necessarily responsibility, but equality. You're supposed to talk to me. You're supposed to tell me about this. We're supposed to talk about this before you make this decision, kind of thing. And that's actually happening to a lot of the players because if you look at how women function in the work environment, and even female leaders will tell you this, they don't work with that same vigor doing their job. Their their personal character is not to, I'm going to do this job the best I can, no matter what it takes in order to for me to succeed at this task. It's more along the lines of, I just need to look good. So I'm going to do everything I need to make sure I look good, whether that's pushing things onto other people, whether that's blaming somebody else, whether that's me doing a half-ass attempt at it. As long as I look good, it don't matter if I'm actually doing a good job. And that's a different mentality between men and women. And what's happening with the players are they're doing the load management because one, it is beneficial for them to do it because it does extend their careers, right? These companies, these organizations invest tons of money to these guys. And I know we hear their contracts, and we're like, man, that's too much money to be paying one player. But you don't realize how much money these teams are making off these players that they can pay them this amount of money. Nobody takes that next step to be like, well, if this nigga could pay him $300 million for 5 years, what the hell are they making in 5 years where they could pay some one dude $300 million? So you got to take that into account. Jersey sales, sneaker sales, all of that is highest when they are registered as a player, not necessarily playing, but registered on the team and sitting on the bench, and they got their sneakers and they walking out from the games or walking into the games dressed up. They doing commercials. All that happens because they are technically registered on the roster. And the longer you can keep these niggas registered on the roster and just make them play to keep the fans happy enough to keep coming back later and buying their jerseys and their shoes. Hey, we just make these niggas play three-fourths of games versus, all of them or 80% of them or 90% of them. They're going to keep doing that. And the players are cool with it too because that means they're going to get paid longer. So I hear it. It's just that they don't care about the quality of the play. And I'm going to go into it, y'all. I'm sorry. I watched a basketball game this past weekend. I ain't never seen more traveling, flopping, and niggas stepping away from a defensive position so they don't have to play it in my life. I ain't never seen basketball played like it is now. I don't even know why niggas buy tickets. But hey, that's the fans and what they want to do now. Good luck to them.
I agree with you,
Okay.
good fella.
Now
I
the
agree.
champ has come up to join us, y'all. So I'm gonna go ahead and let him get in right on now. What's up, champ?
Hey, what's going on? Happy Friday to y'all. First, I want to say RIP to the late Michael Ray Richardson, who passed away early this past week. And if you guys saw him back in the late 70s and early 80s, I mean, this guy was a phenomenal point guard and everything else. It's a shame that he passed away. He was banned from the league in 1986 for cocaine use, but he kept playing basketball. He played basketball overseas, and coincidentally, he had his life changed, after that. He changed his life and everything else, became a head basketball coach and everything. So, RIP Michael Ray Richardson. I hope the NBA will forgive him and put him in, if I don't know if he's going to be a Hall of Fame. I don't know if they're going to put him back in the Hall of Fame and everything else, but he deserves some type of recognition for his play because he was phenomenal back in the 80s and everything else. Okay, back to the subject. We're seeing the feminization of some of these male athletes being taking place right now, whether it's the NBA, soccer, basketball, and right now the NFL, especially college football. If you see the way how some of these football players are dressed up, I mean, I never thought I would see players virtually wearing near short shorts and everything else with pads on and a helmet and everything. Like a couple weeks ago, I was watching the Oklahoma Sooners play. I'm not sure if it was Alabama or something like that. but one of the announcers was noticing that, and I said, I don't understand why I see these players pretend that they're playing rugby and everything else, just wearing near short shorts and everything else. And so, and I hope you all noticing that too right now in college football, if you've seen that. And so, is it single mothers that they're causing it? Not really, no. But what we're seeing is that we're seeing the feminization of some of these male athletes and everything else. Thanks to society and everything else pushing this um pushing this women's
Feminist
rights
agenda.
and everything else. So I kind of blame the fact that a lot of these bills, legislations, and everything else trying to put. Now do women need to get paid? When it comes to sports like playing soccer, WNBA, yeah, sure. I'd like to see them make over $1 million, maybe $5-10 million. But what's going on is that there's this overreach right now of the social norms. And it's really, really wreaking havoc on some of these male athletes, especially in college football. If you watch some of these athletes, wearing those outfits and everything else. So that's where I see right now.
All right, now I'm gonna jump in and say that yeah, I've noticed there has been some things that have changed over the years, and I do think single motherhood has a part to do with it, even with the way the guys dress, because now they wear, I don't know the official term of it, but like the fact that you see guys who will wear these, well, it's like the spandex pants women wear. I don't know what you would call them, if there's some pro version, and maybe there's a medical benefit to it or something that I'm just not aware of. But these tights that guys will put on, like you see them in the basketball players, they in uniform and they got on some tights or something, like you know that wasn't cool to me. Like well, it
Yeah.
still ain't cool to me now, because I would never do that. Just period. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't like dressing like a girl. That's just me personally. I would never do something
Mm-hmm.
to present myself like I'm a girl. If it was, I could understand like somebody doing it in entertainment. You dress like a woman for the joke, but we talking about grown men playing basketball. So, and I'm saying the work ethic idea is for just men in general. I think it's just an easy way to see it when you look at what's going on in the NBA with load management. And as was said earlier, shout out to Truth Teller for mentioning quality. Yeah, you may extend your NBA life a little bit longer,
I,
but the quality
I
product
think
ain't there.
some of those spandex products, and it kind of started like in like the late '70s, early '80s. But I think some of those products have a they are designed to try to spread the tension to alleviate joint impact. So a lot
They
of it
call
is to try
compression.
to eliminate instead of have all the impact directly at the joint, is to sort of spread the impact along the muscle overall to sort of minimize the irritation or potential degradation on the joint. So I, I'd like to ask questions about some. Yeah, obviously, some brother in a dress or wearing lipstick or lip gloss or fingernails. We got our guy here in Chicago, our quarterback
Yeah,
wearing
yeah,
fingernail
yeah,
polish.
yeah. I
Yeah,
was gonna I was
yeah,
gonna mention
Yeah,
yeah.
that.
that's some real shit there.
You
But
mean the fact that he his
I like.
fingernails?
Yeah, so I like to ask questions about. I think there is some actual justification for some of that sort of stuff. The tights. I think there is some benefit associated with that. Now, how it looks aesthetically, we'll probably feel a certain type of way about that. So
I can shed a little light on the spandex material. when I was running track, they didn't come long like that. They were called compression shorts. But medically, you kind of explained it. It kind of spreads out the impact to the joints and stuff like that. I don't know if that's what they're doing, but that's what it looks like. They used to wear the sleeves too on the elbows and stuff like that too.
Well, I do know Allen
Because
Iverson.
you definitely see like a lot of sprinters wearing that kind of gear. You know, I mean, the high at the highest levels, you see sprinters
Hmm.
wearing that, and you would
Yeah,
presume that they're trying to maximize, muscular and joint, effect. So
yeah. If it's for medical benefits, I definitely can understand. I know that's how Allen Iverson started wearing that sleeve. I saw something recently about that. So yeah, if it's for medical benefits, I get it. But other than that, I just don't. Um, Shout out to Ken y'all know that's Ken seeing red. Well, I believe that's Ken seeing red based on the avatar. I believe that was him. He said, "Yo, no false narratives on the panel. There is no reason WNBA players not named Caitlin Clark should make $10 million."
Facts,
uh,
facts.
yeah, no, I'm gonna say shout out to you for that because yeah, I'm gonna
Yeah.
say those players deserve according to what they can bring in. You got to bring the people in first, and the people got to want to spend the money. Then, then you can get the bag like that. But if you can't draw the attention, hey, it is what it is. You got that.
yeah,
I'm just say they need more help than maybe Adam Silver could even give. You know,
Well,
because
That's
to be
true. I
to be
mean,
honest, if they were getting paid what they were worth, they'd be paying to play.
yeah.
well, yeah,
Stop.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, but
Kev. Goddamn, Kev. You foul for that.
he telling the truth though. He telling the truth. Okay, but I don't want to. I
Yeah,
don't want to
but
switch the conversation because we on men's work ethic versus the single mother mentality. Yo, and WNBA is not. They're
well,
not
look,
men. So
I wanted to
yeah.
go ahead.
say, this whole work ethic thing. The older I get, the more circumspect I become about this sort of John Henry ethic of black men. And while I obviously think there's merit to working hard, it's easier for me to justify when black men truly do benefit from their working hard. But very often we don't. And in fact, other people reap the higher financial benefit from it. They reap the higher uh, ownership. I was watching great Eric Dickerson on one of the more popular streams, uh, and he talked about, he was very critical of the NFL treatment of players, retired players, in particular black players. And he said something that just broke my heart. It just broke my heart. He said that his pension is only $1,500 a month. The great Eric Dickerson. But this is what really broke my heart. This is what just killed me. He said before he died, the great Deacon Jones, the great legendary Deacon Jones, his NFL pension was $250 a month.
Damn.
$250 a month. Deacon Jones. Deacon fucking Jones. So when you talk to me about brothers working hard, at my age, I start thinking cost benefit analysis, return on investment, that sort of thing. I got to include that much more in the calculus of working hard.
I,
Strong.
I, I, I think when we come across things like that, that's where we need community once again. That's where we need families and communities once again. Because if black men were raised by other black men, I believe black men from the NFL would have stepped up and took care of that brother.
Not
Yeah,
just
that's
not just the
hey,
NFL, but NBA and boxing, because a lot of black boxers who are great champions, they end up living in living in streets and everything else after that.
Yeah, what to
And it
hear
breaks
about a
my heart to
pension?
see, like,
Oh, my bad, I didn't mean to step on your toes. Yeah,
I don't. If I'm not,
go ahead,
hey, Black
go ahead.
Guru, can I ask you this question real quick? Or I don't believe boxers get pensions, right?
No.
Thank
No,
you. Oh,
they're
yeah,
effectively independent contractors. Yeah.
yeah.
But it's rough to hear about it. Pensions,
Mm.
because I hadn't seen that interview. I just started looking up stuff so I see where it come from. I hadn't seen that interview. That is heartbreaking to hear that a quote unquote pension is paying that little a month, 1,500 or 250, which is
It,
sounds
it
just about
it's
insane.
featured by two NBA players. I'm trying not to say the name of it because
No,
I don't
you can go
know,
ahead. You
you
can
know
go ahead.
how
You can
how
go ahead.
yeah.
No, you can go ahead.
all the
It's all
all
good.
the smoke, all the smoke with Steven Jackson and what's his name, Matt Barnes. Yeah,
Matt Barnes,
yeah.
yeah,
It's a
yeah,
recent interview. Yeah, it's a recent
yeah,
interview, so it should come up pretty quick. Yeah.
yeah. It popped right up. It popped right up. Yeah, and you know, sometimes I make an exception because of what the conversation is, and then who the people are that did it. So, you know, shout out to Steven Jackson and Matt Barnes at the end of the day. And if you're a content creator, you a little something I ain't gonna mention yours. Hey, you gotta have to deal. That's all I'm gonna tell you. You got to deal. But we got Gold P over here,
And,
y'all.
and, and
So
understand, there's a reason why I emphasize Deacon Jones in particular. And you got to be a certain age. Deacon Jones is the father of the modern defensive end. The defensive end position was really defined by the great Deacon Jones. The way the defensive end plays, and you got to be a certain age to know what I'm talking about. But Deacon Jones, I mean, when you see the way defensive ends play, when you see how defenses are structured around that position, that's Deacon Jones. Deacon Jones is part of the material of the NFL itself, of what we love about the NFL, particularly from the defensive side of the football. So to hear that he got $250 a month for a pension from the NFL for playing in the league, he played in the league 15 fucking years. That's insane. So
yeah, that
damn all that hard
Yeah,
working talk without a brother getting paid, man.
yeah.
I put that squarely on the NFL and squarely in the lap of brothers that followed him. And I believe, man, if you followed this guy, you played in the NFL. It's just like if I was, you know, some type of laborer somewhere, and I know there was a great laborer amongst my community that came before me, and he wasn't doing well. I'm trying to get with the brothers and say, hey, man, hey,
Um,
what can we do for this man? You know,
you know,
can we start our own little crowdfunding to take care of this brother? If we making millions and millions of dollars, it would have been nothing for 50 or 100 of them brothers to get together. It's mostly us in the league. It wouldn't have been nothing for them to get together and start a fund for him and other brothers like him, bro. I think that just comes from the selfish mentality of these brothers growing up with
Well, well,
selfish mothers,
first,
man.
first of all,
I,
but well,
I,
let's clarify. Let's clarify something because I'm not criticizing the players that came up from under, and it's not my understanding that Deacon Jones died destitute. He was a very popular cultural figure at one point. You would see him very often appear on television. I think he appeared on an episode of the Brady Bunch, for Christ's sake. You know, a very popular figure in movies at a certain time or whatever. He probably did very well economically outside of football. So I'm not really focusing so much on whether he was destitute. My point is the league was supposed, regardless of how wealthy he was, the league was supposed to pay him better, regardless.
I,
yeah.
That's the
I
point I'm
expect
making.
that from the white man. I expect that from the white man.
Well, what I want to do now, y'all, is I want to get Gold P in here because Gold P then came up. I was trying to get him in, but Y'all didn't want Gold P to talk, but as much as I can be cool with that idea, I got to let him get in. So, hey, Gold P, what's happening, my brother?
Man, what's happening?
You don't sound your usual self, Gold P. Come on, man.
Because y'all chose violence today. Chose violence. Roger, you chose violence by way of Kevin 3905.
He paid me to do it.
I was trying to get Kevin to chill.
No. You, Roger, man.
See?
No. You either have me up here as if I'm in the back. You will just leave me sitting here.
Oh, have mercy. When I first started, I compliment that. This is one of my main men. Gold P.
You will be like, shut up, Gold P. Somebody else talking. That's what you just did.
Hey, man, I was trying to stop Kevin 3905. That's what I was trying to do.
Wasn't. You was like, don't worry about it. Go ahead. Say what you want to say, kid. Go ahead. Say what you want to say, kid. Anything, kid.
It wasn't even like that. It wasn't even like that.
Kev, what you say, Kev? You had something else to say? Kev? That's what you're doing, Roger. You didn't even read the Cash App I sent you, Roger.
Dang.
You see what I'm saying?
I was getting to that, Gold P.
No, you chose violence today, Roger. Yeah, Roger. Can't come up here, man. You know what I'm saying? Now, I'm just tell you, Chef told me come up here and give you that work. And I think you've seen Chef. I think Chef.
I seen it.
You trying to interrupt me, man. You trying to interrupt me. You know, Chef told me I'm telling you what Chef told me to do. And what you do, you try to shut me out, man. That's what you try to do. And you try to use Uru to back you up. Because you just let Uru ride, and he got elder privilege. What you say, Cam? That's what you did. I know what you did, man.
You read my Cash App.
You guys chose violence today. I want all the smoke. I read the Cash App and read it what I said, man. Make sure you read it correctly too.
Whoever out there is taking Gold P side, y'all see what you talking? That's how you talking to me right now. Y'all see how you talking to me right
now? Violence, Roger.
Let me respectfully read this Cash App though. Shout out to Gold P for the Cash App. He said Kevin ain't ish with the tax on it, and he dropped $5.57. So shout out to him for the trailability tax as well. So he put $5.57 on it, okay? Because I think that was in direct response to your $5 Cash App, my brother.
Because Chef said, hey, Gold P, make sure if you want to up Kev, because he came in with the fire, he came in with all the violence, then you got to put a 57-cent tax on it. And that's what I exactly did. But I had to work hard. I work hard for this money. I work hard.
Yeah.
Roger made it a point to make me work even harder.
Hey man, that wasn't me, brother. I was trying to stop Kevin 3905. He was like a locomotive out there, man. He was like a locomotive.
Is it, Roger?
Hey, brother. I mean, I ain't Superman. I can't stop no locomotive.
Whose show is it, Roger?
Chef, this is your fault. That's all I'm saying.
Roger, stop trying to blame Chef. Whose show is it, Roger?
Hey, it's my show, Gold P. It's my show.
That's all I want to hear, Roger. That's all I want to hear, Roger. My
But I
return
hope you
fire
enjoyed
is
your opening statement. That's all I'm gonna say. I
ah,
hope you enjoyed your opening statement.
my
Okay.
return fire is impeccable.
I didn't shoot, brother. That's all I'm
You
saying.
did shoot. You did shoot.
Kevin might have shot,
No,
but I didn't shoot.
you shot. Kevin shot. And hey, Uru, I want to apologize to you for the behavior of Roger and KFC. I want to apologize for them because they ain't gonna do it.
Hey man, I had no disrespect intentions today. I'm doing a great show.
I want to say shout out to I'm gonna interrupt Roger. I want to shout out Shark Sims to make sure that I got my full 38 seconds beyond my 2 minutes.
You got a whole 60 seconds on that one.
I appreciate it. I'm done.
Well, I still appreciate you, Gold P. I still appreciate. But guess what, bro? Shout out to Kevin 3905 because you got lucky for the moment. He said, "Cut Gold P mic off tax." Dang.
Damn.
You see, that's what we doing. Is that what we doing, Kev?
Damn. He don't even do that to Santana.
I just cut his mic off, y'all. I just cut his mic off while he asked, "Is that what we doing?" I just cut his mic off. Shout out to Kevin. Now we out here cutting people mic off. Now I ain't gonna do you like that, Gopi. I ain't gonna do you like that. It's cool. You ain't got to worry about that, brother. We ain't gonna do you like that. Okay, you may be a dirty rotten son of a, but we ain't gonna talk about that right now. But back to the subject at hand, though. Back to the subject at hand, y'all.
You
Now
see,
I'm gonna say, I understand.
Myself. You see what I'm talking about?
Well, I mean, he paid $5. What you want me to do? What you want me to do?
I will mute my mic.
Yeah. But I'm trying to get back on point because these crazy outbursts is something else. But back on point, I'm saying I can understand things from a business perspective about stretching out the length of a player's career. I can definitely understand that. But to me, I have to have this competing idea. We're going to make money if we stretch out a particular guy's career, but we're also going to make a whole lot of money if we are seen as a certified winner. We don't necessarily have to be champions to be looked at as winners, and we don't necessarily have to win the ring in order to move a lot more jerseys and a lot more of products with whichever sport you're talking about, NBA, NFL, whatever. You can move a lot of product that way. And then when it comes to the everyday black man, now maybe you're going trying to get your own business off the ground, maybe you're not. Working hard and making sure you reap the benefits of you working hard, I think is just a great idea at the end of the day. And I think if black men change their mentality about what they're going to do with the money that they earn as they work hard, of course, it creates a better environment for us as a whole. I will say that because, Black, you make a good point about, because I'm never going to say be the John Henry where the idea is work super hard for everybody else and let everybody else benefit. And then you just, fall out and die somewhere. I'm not with that. I even personally say you should never work for a living. You should work to do stuff. If you go to work
But
and you
also,
cannot, go ahead. Go ahead.
also, the reason why Michael Jordan, I think, and this is in retrospect or hindsight, I think why Michael Jordan was so great was because he played so hard out off the court. I think the gambling, people criticize the gambling. I think the gambling is part of the fire that he brought to playing. I think they all come together. They're all a part of that win at all stakes kind of thing that he had inside of him. And you hear about him, he'll go and play, 36 holes of golf, then go out partying and drinking and gambling, and then score 45 points that same night. That's all that same fire. So yeah, he worked hard as hell, but he also really seemed to kind of enjoy and kind of revel in that fire, even outside or off the court.
Hey, Kay, I want to
I
say
just
something
think
real quick before I leave. Um, Michael Jordan, basically kind of betting on himself ever since he got denied playing for when he got cut in high school from varsity. Basically, he played with a lot of I think he played with a lot of anger and resentment over the fact that he didn't make varsity in his junior year in high school basketball, and it just took off
It
from
was
there.
sophomore year, not junior, sophomore year.
Yeah, sophomore year that he didn't make it. That's part of the reason. That's part of the reason why I think he just betted on himself and just played hard countlessly, because that's a traumatizing thing. When you're a sophomore, you think you're good and everything else, but then you didn't make varsity and everything, and you just go back home, you just work hard every day and everything, 24 hours, 7 days a week, and you just feel like I need to work hard. I need to basically bet on myself every day and every now, so I can prove to the world that I am the GOAT. And that's what he did.
I
He
don't know. I
betted
think
on
it's
himself.
the
And
feminization of the society because all of them guys had that dog in them. You could look at how players dunk these days in the NBA. It's soft. It's just everything is just soft now. Like I
it
think
is
just
soft, but it's
feminization of
soft in every
society.
sport.
Yeah, it's just society's feminine now. Like Ubu said, after a couple of generations, it's very you could see it now. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, it's just dead. It's gone.
Yeah,
You know?
it's funny you say it's because there are no Reggie Jacksons, there are no Pete Roses in baseball. I mean,
No
those
Bo
guys
Jackson.
were rough riders, man. Ain't none of them guys in baseball now. These are great players. They have great stats, but it's not the same kind of fire.
Nope.
All right, y'all. The nameless protagonist is here, so I want to open up the floor for him. Nameless, you have it, my brother.
To the chat and the instructors on the panel. Os.
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 What emotions there, y'all? Okay, I'm finna say that.
Os.
Y'all
It's
come.
all
Hey, it's the rule at the Roger Report Live. We gonna say Os anytime the man comes up and says Os. And heck, if anybody else do it, we gonna openly respond and say Os to that person too, because it's just a good habit to be in. Real talk.
I can appreciate Roger respecting the nameless protagonist.
No, I'm not just saying it like I'm respecting him more than other people. I'm saying the concept behind the O's is such a wonderful thing that
You
we
heard
have
what
to.
I said.
Look, he trying to get me caught up in nonsense. See, that's what he do, y'all. He trying to get me caught up in nonsense. Okay, I respect everybody who comes to the panel. Real
Shout
time.
out to the nameless protagonist. He didn't have to wait long. He nameless. Go ahead, bro. Go ahead.
Why are you making this the group politic, man? I ain't do shit, bro.
You did everything, brother. You did everything right, brother.
But I'll jump into this. I thought about coming up for a little bit, and you guys went the direction that I hoped you were going to go into. So I'll just add a little bit more momentum to it. I'll start off real quick with a skit I saw on IG, just kind of doom scrolling. And I think it fits kind of the theme of what you guys are talking about. There was a dude that was watching himself in the past. He went through a time machine thing, and he's trying to go back to his, I think they did it. What was that movie? Singularity, the one where they were talking about time, space, and space time. And he ends up into a alternate reality in his past where he's watching himself make prior decisions. And he's sitting there with his girlfriend or maybe his wife, and they're sitting at the table and they're at a laptop and they're not really arguing. He worked hard and saved up an extra $10,000. And the reality behind it was, he wanted to invest in it and go for a a cryptocurrency that was starting to bud. And he was about to be in a position where if he invests, they would be billionaires in the future, and it'd be able to completely alter his whole reality where he's at. But he's sitting here with his girlfriend, and his girlfriend's like, well, I want this couch. This couch is $6,000. And he's trying to make the case that if they invest in the $10,000 with the Bitcoin currency or the cryptocurrency, that irrespective of what they do, if it gains just a little bit, and it was at a point where it would have mandatory gains, out the gate, they would make more money. But she was so concerned with having this new couch because she felt entitled to it that she ended up convincing him under the guise of, offering him affection and as a consequence or in return, that he capitulated to the idea of buying the couch, and they end up missing out on the opportunity. And that was pretty much the theme of the skit. And he's mad at himself because, he still chose, and he was trying to influence things by like knocking stuff over so that, he could interrupt the conversation at key points to make him reconsider. But, they buy the damn couch. And I think it plays into the point that Black Uru was highlighting, that the general panel was going towards, that there's something about masculinity that defies certain measures of safety and recognizes that there's an exchange you have to make when faced with fear. I'm going to hit you with another conversation I saw a neurologist explain as they go about and speak to men and women all over the world. When they're in a room with mixed folks, people that are men, a mixed sex audience, everywhere around the world, she would ask this question of people to raise their hand if they've ever experienced a near-death experience or felt as though their life was in danger before ever. And most people raise their hand at some point. And then she gets more specific and starts temporally adjusting the time frame, 10 years, 5 years, a year ago, a week ago, and hands start dropping. But what she notices is as the time gets closer and closer and closer, most men start dropping their hands to the point where by the time you get to, do you feel as though you were in danger to, last week sometime, most men have their hands down and all the women pretty much have their hands up. And when she asked the question, do you feel as though you're in danger now? Most women still have their hands up. And this is important to understand what's meant by feminization. There's a understanding of there being a potential of fear, but not knowing how to actually resolve it outside of forcing and taming a matter of consistency. We know that these are things we learn to manage inherently, and so we accept the uncertain. And this is tying into the Mamba mentality of what happens. Fundamentally, what we're talking about is facing risk and managing risk and what those outcomes can be. Everything you just listed as far as Jordan's behavior is directly connected to this concept of risk and facing fear and understanding that in the potential to lose everything, you could also gain everything. And fundamentally, you have the question when you begin looking at how this translates into the lead and this idea of load management. We've got this idea of the player being, I'm going to say, commoditized into a property or a object. And if the idea is to extrapolate as much value from the object as you can, objectification, you begin to eliminate these risks potentially that could create amazing opportunities for engagement, which the league has been known for. You see this in combat sports also. But to tie that into the whole idea, labeling this as a feminine modality, I think is accurate in that it is a overt risk aversion that denatures the combat aspect of having the potential at any moment to lose everything for the opportunity to gain everything. And it's that stakes that keeps people watching and is the integrity piece we're seeing fall through the floor here, I think.
Now, I got to jump in immediately after Nameless. And y'all, I'm not trying to make a greatest of all time situation, but as he's speaking, you got 22 years Heck, you got 4 championships. A lot of great things behind that stuff. A lot of great things came with that stuff. But you got 15 and 6 championships. Shorter career, more risk, more reward, and I dare say more respect. Which one you really want? If you got to choose, which one you really want? You want the six championships in the 15 years and what that came with, or you rather have the 22 years and the 4 championships and what it comes with? I mean, real talk, the man in me say I'm taking the 6 and 15. That's just how I see it, man. I'd rather get out there and put on a greater performance, and put it, quote unquote, all on the line. So I can accomplish what I want the world to see me accomplish, rather than I mean, I understand from a business standpoint, it's you want to take the safe bet because you want to extend that career. But again, even in business, you can extend the career, or you can win championships, or at least be a perennial winner where we expect you to be challenging for a championship every single year. Has anyone ever suffered monetarily for being a team that's challenging for a championship every single year? I just don't see that as a bad thing. Not especially not from a monetary perspective.
I don't think anybody ever
You
said
say
that.
have a team ever suffered for trying to win a championship?
I mean,
Repeat that
yeah, I mean,
question again.
if you're a perennial winner, if you're somebody who's expected to win basically every single year, you don't really suffer. You may not get that championship. I mean, there was a time I remember the Buffalo Bills lost 4 Super Bowls in a row, but they was expected to win. Even though it's funny to me about them losing 4 Super Bowls in a row, because I could never, before it happened, I could never see that happening to a team. But a lot of great things happen along the way of losing 4 championships in a row because people expected them to win. They made a lot of money. They sold a lot of jerseys. They were a popular team. They just couldn't close that final deal, but everybody was expecting them to win on a regular basis. So I just don't see where it's bad to be known as the team who will probably win, and maybe you don't have that around for as long because you're not extending these players' careers. But I mean, if I played in the NFL and never won a Super Bowl, I would have loved to play for the Bills and at least got 4 shots at.
Well, Roger, let me put the juxtaposition here so we can update into a modern expression of these games. I think, and I had a conversation with some coworkers because I don't watch basketball. I don't watch sports, period. I don't. My grandfather kind of low key ruined that for me. He used to, when we were in the DC area, he used to drive Daryl Green to his football game. So growing up, all we saw was the Redskins. I know we're talking about basketball now, but DC teams, man, we had Jordan over there for a hot second, if you remember. So, I got traumatic experience being a sports fan. God damn. But I think that if you take into consideration what has occurred when they introduced the fantasy league, it begs a question. And I do want people to consider what the brother that came up here first highlighted with the gambling scenario, what the fantasy league has potentially done in the way players view their career in games. So if you've got people who are making money on the low from their statistics, so they've got specific things that they're doing, which may get their score up for a fantasy league, it may be inappropriate to do these things to win the game in the actual moment. Yep. So now you've got a shift of priority. You could be a player who, as a particular role you play, let's say you're center, and your whole thing is making assists and ball control and making steals. And let's say you focus on that, but maybe it wasn't the proper thing to do to win the game. It becomes a question of, yes, these are tools that can assist you in winning the game, but sometimes you have to break that role and do what's needed to win the game. And that's what makes people stand out when you observe them in action and in play. It may not have been what looks good on your statistics overall, but if it won the game, it won the game as far as that's concerned. That's how you get the immersion of people doing things like half court shots, like people who are busting threes and you're the freaking power forward. You know what I'm saying? Like you're somebody that typically wouldn't be in a position to do that. You know what I'm saying? Or no, probably center's a better position on that, but it's people making improvisations that don't match the meta of the game to create very memorable opportunities. Those are the moments that get people coming back and have people remember what you did. And I think that is a thing that's being applied across the board in general with modern sports in general, but the way people view these combat simulations, which is how I view them.
Okay, I mean, bro, shout out to you for that. I mean, you doing the thing today. We doing the thing now. Compassion and Cat has done joined us, y'all. So he in the back on the ones and twos. He done got a video for us to see. Let's see what he got going on. Let's see what you got cooking, brother. Roll that.
Which is why they like single mother raised ass niggas, because those are more compliant ass niggas. They don't like Rajon Rondos. They don't like Kyrie Irving. They don't like Ball brothers. They don't like niggas that got dads. They like you bitch ass niggas that was raised by your bitch ass mom. Because you niggas are compliant. Masculinity in all the ways that don't really count for real. Which is why they like...
Ooh, little rough on the ears, but I won't say good points made. And my thing is, y'all, what's the goal? Because, like I said, I'm talking about black men's work ethic in general. I just thought using this NBA load management would be an easy way that people can kind of see how the black man's work ethic is being messed with. But when it comes down to it, I think black men are going to be just a little bit more easier control, just like this video suggested. Again, I think the white man's idea, the way the white man thinks has always gone along with the single mother mentality, because they the ones that gave black women the idea it's a good idea to raise your child on your own and make sure that there's no father in the household. And I think from an overall perspective, it's just a good way to make sure black men don't compete to take things over from white men. They want you to be happy where you at and never truly compete. Because if I compete and I can get further than my daddy, now if my daddy competed so he can get further than his daddy, and his daddy competed so he can get further than, at some point in time, now you're gonna be threatening the balances of power, if not just plain old taking over the balances of power. And I'm gonna say, even with this load management concept, I understand, professionally, yeah, we can make things extend. Do I want a long career, or do I want to be a champion? Because when you get to professional sports, to me, if you didn't win, it don't count. I don't care what you do. I respect.
Do I want 200? Do I want 250 million, or do I want 500 million? Because that's the part of the calculus. That's part of the calculus. Let's not bullshit.
Yep.
You gotta remember, Roger, this is a business.
But that's why I used that example of Bitcoin earlier, with all of that uncertainty versus something that, and maybe the example was a little more extreme in that skit, but I think it was the spirit of that, where looking at people's buying and investing behavior is very similar to that. And I think that's reflecting the shift in culture, because that's happening everywhere, not just sports. It's literally the conversation right now. What benefit do people see in engaging in risk? But it's kind of leading to the other point I wanted to say, because there's a couple different moving parts to this. Uru, you mentioned earlier even that as you get a little bit more circumspect, you begin to realize that there has been a line of thinking that's presented blind hard work for the sake of doing so as being some sort of virtue, which oftentimes gets juxtaposed to the valid point of using this mentality. I think was cultivated during captivation of finding ways to passive aggressively resist and intellectually do less to get more, not for profit's sake, but out of spite. So this idea becomes politically entangled of finding ways to game and hustle systems rather than find ways of being able to overcome and control systems. I think there's a juxtaposition that plays itself out in Black political thought, going all the way back to Booker T and W.E.B. Du Bois, and maybe now with Thomas Sowell and somebody like Dice. What's that dude? What's that liberal dude that be
Neil deGrasse Tyson?
No, that's the physicist.
Michael Eric. Eric Dyson.
Yes. And you know, it's kind of that back and forth.
Let me put a face or put a little more concrete. Okay, I'm a boomer, and I saw my greatest generation father, Black guy, lose a hand on the job, or worse, at the steel mill. And they didn't even give my mama his pension. That kind of shit. That's what creates this nuanced perspective in more recent generations about the benefit of hard work to Black men in particular. I'm not talking about everybody else. Everybody else is on some other kind of scam shit. I'm talking about the men who have worked the hardest in the history of this country and have reaped the least about it. That's why I mentioned Deacon Jones. I mean, y'all, you just got to be a certain age. Modern football is not modern football without Deacon Jones. It's especially not defensively. I mean, you had, I mean, he was Lawrence Taylor before Lawrence Taylor in terms of his impact on the game, how the game was played. So when I say that guy has a pension of $250, maybe you have to be 60 plus years old to realize just how profoundly offensive that is. I mean, when Eric Dickerson was telling us, he almost had tears in his eyes when he was talking about that shit. And he played in LA. He played in Los Angeles Rams, the glamour city of the country. And $250 in the fucking pension for playing 15 years in the NFL.
Nah, I'm gonna say that still sounds pretty insulting.
So when you talk to me about working hard, I'm like, I gotta really kind of, I gotta keep my eyes a little bit more wide open.
So that's exactly why I would make mention when we had the John Henry conversation a while ago that the problem isn't necessarily working hard. It's working hard for someone other than yourself or without an intentioned self-directed direction. And I guess I want to highlight what would be a augmenting point to what you're saying. I find hypocritically, and we'll use the Mamba mentality for a modern expression of this, that when Black men demonstrate that very principle and do it from a posture, I'm going to empower myself with this so I can empower my environment, they get labeled as individuals that want to try to emulate white men, colonizers, or enslavers. But when you present that same mentality in women, all of a sudden it's correct. It becomes
You're talking about Deion Sanders.
Well, that was an expression of that exact scenario we've seen recently. Absolutely. And when you see women adopt the exact same qualities, they get recontextualized as this progressive pushback against tyranny. And this is where I was wanting people to kind of understand where this is coming from. Working hard is fine so long as you've got somebody that gets to lay claim to it. The moment you do so for yourself and you self-direct where that energy goes after you're gone in particular, then it's a problem.
Okay, we're gonna hold fast right there. We got another.
That's why they give. That's why they give. I got to make this point. That's why they are giving Shadur Sanders the shit that they giving him because of his daddy, because of what Nameless just described. We got to connect this to what we're actually seeing happening. It ain't enough just to talk about the concepts. Yes, Shadur is paying for the fact that Dion insisted on getting his rightful market value for the shit that he did. His son is paying for that. Anybody who's past 50-something years old know this is true. Because we saw how they treated and spoke about. I saw a video recently of a white man saying that his son, a white man who played in the NFL, said that his grandfather, who I think played pro football or something like that, said that he would pay him, and this guy played during the same time Dion did when Dion played in Baltimore, I believe. This white man said that his grandfather offered to pay him $10,000 to injure Dion. And they were laughing about it. It's out there in TikTok. I'll find it and post a link to it. He said his grandfather hated Dion so much that he tried to bribe him to injure Dion. This is what working hard for yourself elicit from these people in the United States of America.
Bingo.
Absolutely. Okay, Compassion Catalyst has a clip for us, and then we got No Placeholder who's come up. So let's roll the clip, and then we'll get No Placeholder in after the clip. Go ahead, Compassionate.
Kobe was not brought up in a matriarchy, and that's the problem. And that's why a lot of black people, both black men and black women, don't like Kobe, because there's something off about him. Yeah, Kobe don't got those nigga chips. That's the problem. That's the thing you all are sensing. Lack of nigga software. That nigga is running Macintosh soft operating system. That nigga is running Sonoma, Ventura, Catalina. You niggas are used to Windows, fuck Windows 98, because that was a great operating. Y'all used to Windows Vista. Y'all used to that shit. Windows 8.
Well, I mean, there's a strong point made, and let's not get it twisted. I am not promoting that black men should work hard so everybody else can benefit and not them. That is definitely not where I'm coming from. But I'm coming from the perspective of, now we do have more opportunities today than we had in the past. But for us to take advantage of these opportunities, I do believe that you're going to have a greater work ethic for us to benefit the way the potential is there for us to do a whole lot. I'll just say that the potential is there. Because if you had a person like a Kobe starting today, if you had a person like a Michael Jordan starting today, as you say, Deacon Jones, as you say, starting today, what could they actually do with their careers at this particular point? So we do have all these different things that we can make money with. And I'm going to say, even when we look at it from a sports angle of winning, yes, you may have a shorter career, but winning does bring in extra money for you. There's endorsement deals and things like that. So winning provides money from other places as well. So I think it's a great time where things are coming together, that if we do take on that perspective of working twice as hard to get half as much, not that we really won't have as much, but if we take on that mentality of working hard, I think it could benefit a lot for us in today's time. Compassion obviously has another clip for us, so let's check this clip out, and then I'll get No Placeholder in there since you didn't came up. Go ahead and run his Compassionate.
Where you're telling yourself, right? Go ahead, Ross Tucker.
Listen, I still remember, guys, I'm not kidding you, my grandfather, okay, who played in the leather helmet days, like God bless his heart, He hated Deion Sanders so much that in 2004, I was starting at center for the Bills against the Ravens. And this is when Deion came back and was playing for the Ravens. He offered me 10 grand to take out Deion in the game. My grandpa. Okay. I was 25. He's 85. Okay. He doesn't even know what a bounty is. He doesn't care. But he hated how much of a showboat Deion was that much. So I think that.
Shout out to Compassion the Cast for being quick on it. Black Crew, we don't need you to go look up nothing now. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
But
Thank you for so quickly confirming what I had observed, Compassion. I mean, this is what you're competing against. I mean, look, like I say, I'm much more in the find your way to reap the absolute maximum benefit of the effort that you apply. I'm not for working hard just to be working hard. Even the whole work ethic thing for me is overblown. Because I see motherfuckers worth hundreds of billions of dollars and they're not working that hard. So I'm for brothers figuring out how they're gonna get the most of what they can get with the resources they have, and to do so in a way in which they're able to maximize their health. Because here's the other part about quote working hard: you shorten your life at a certain point. That lack of sleep, that extra effort, that not getting a certain amount of rest, it takes a toll. The life expectancy of a black man in America is under 68 years old. So you working so hard for what? And to get what? You're not working for retirement. Because hell, you're not going to even have a retirement that long if you only live to be 67 years old. So what you working so damn hard for? To leave it to some ungrateful woman and children? Is that what you're doing? I mean, what are you working hard for? What are you getting for what you're working hard for? Consider that.
Culture of enduring things rather than terraforming the environment to fit them. This is where the hyper individualism comes from. This is where that individual self improvement comes from versus actually being able to work together with other black men to create an exponential effect. Y'all know when I talk about Highlander syndrome and all this other shit, this is where black men would rather work with black women and actually work with other black men. This is where all these cultural attitudes that are really cultural diseases, because other men don't operate like this. Not really. They may speak on it, but this is not how they move. Jewish people are not on some self-improve your way out of it. No, they're on a collective thing. And black men overcompensate for certain things, and black men cap like a motherfucker on what they really fucking on and what they really dealing with. But solution. So when I say do what's in your own best interest, and advocate, because I'm not saying every dude got to advocate, but it always kills me when dudes tend to have a problem with other men advocating even for stuff that could be on their behalf, like they would benefit. And so it's almost like, because the women don't do this. Women will advocate. They don't do that. Well, you just need to self-improve. Maybe you need. They don't do that. Oh, well, they're women though, dude. You live in a society, even white men are starting to wake up to the fact that the women have a lot more control than what they should, and arguably collectively more control than they do outside of like top 5% or 10% of white men. That's a problem. And the black community is straight up gynocracy. Why? Because you have black men on some, you just need to do what you need to do. And it's interesting dudes say that, then dudes end up being stepfathers. Then dudes end up getting hemmed up by child support. Then dudes end up, having to take care of family members and shit, because they didn't do what they were supposed to do. Or shit happens. And then the cycle just restarts over and over and over again. And niggas are asking the same fucking questions.
That's the difference between knowing and understanding systems and not. I'm gonna say that straight up.
Okay. And now, no placeholder. It's up to you to come in behind this and keep it flowing. How you doing, brother?
Yeah, I'm doing well. That's a lot, Roger. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to come in. You know, we already got it. I was just coming in. I was just coming in to reinforce Nameless and Uru's point about working hard in certain environment. But anyhow, hello to you, good morning, Uru, as well as Nameless, and everyone else.
What's good, fam?
Kev, what's going on in the chat? Yes, because what's going on, Uru? I wanted to give a quick scenario of how I came up with my career, because when I became a junior engineer, actually before I became a junior engineer, I was actually doing like support, like telephone support, so what we call it, a long distance with an issue, and I'll have to basically resolve that or stuff like that, or they have bad reception. So but yeah, when I was in that environment, this is a company that the owner of the company right now is a billionaire. I'm just letting you know, this is a man that basically is saying he's an actual billionaire, and he wasn't when we were there. But I've stayed in this company for about 5 years, maybe six. I forgot how long it is. But when initially began, he had the entire pit, like the supports telephony as well as DSL and other form of connectivity, was a bunch of young black women. They very not all young. They varied. Some were old, maybe like older 50s and 40s, and then some of the younger ones. And they ran that pool, and they ran it well. They were like they would handle the incoming issues and everything, and they would get the tickets created. They would send on to the technical people and such for and that. But yeah, so what happened was that essentially that they made some deregulations, some changes in the rules of the government, and allowed them to create these different ways of how incumbent telephone companies can handle like monopolies. Like they basically broke AT&T and all the bad boys up and allowed people to buy portions of that on a reseller market. So he was able to achieve that, and the company we just basically took off, because we had a really good, he had a really aggressive sales model, which I give him credit for. And during that entire time, these women were there, and they were supporting it. And as we started taking off, the company literally became wider and wider and wider and wider. And to this day, I don't work there anymore. But yeah, that's what happened. And I was there with those women were basically like skipping things for their children, making ends meet, doing all, making like what, $15, $16. Oh my God, they paying these white sales boy like a few $1,000,000 a year. You're saying, and all they do is go talk to people and tell them like, we're gonna do this for you, we're gonna do that, we're gonna do that. And they don't have no idea what they're doing. Half of the time, we're the engineer have to make it happen. I'm saying, and then they like get like this massive commission to basically to tell people illusions, and then we make the reality happen. But I'm saying, but yeah, I land there. But Uru and Davis is right. If you're gonna work hard, you got to be aware of what you're actually working hard towards, because you can get played. I'll land there.
I think
You know,
that when you are
I
able,
look at the
go ahead.
NBA. I look at the NBA. I see a lot of ironies, and it's a similar thing with the NFL, where the work ethic of black men, especially the NBA. The NBA is even a better example because it's far fewer men. Like the value of the NBA to me, the modern NBA, I mean, really, it's Michael Jordan, it's Magic Johnson. I'll throw Bird in there as well. It's Julius Irving, it's Kareem, Wilt Bill Russell. I mean, when I look at the actual edifice of the enterprise, and Steph Curry, I got to give Steph Curry his credit as well in terms of the current. I'm talking about when I talk about the value of the enterprise, when I'm talking about what really has sold. Now, there have been lots of other great players. I'm not taking anything away from y'all other favorite players. I know we got Kobe fans. I know we got, LeBron fans. And I'm not taking anything away from them. But when I look at the arc of the league, the development of the league, the whole league, the value of this it's got to be combined somewhere in the realm of hundreds of billions, maybe even $500 billion in value. I don't know. When I look at the arc of the sport of basketball, it's 5 or 6 black guys. I'll throw Mike in there. Okay, I'll throw Mike in there from the beginning. 5 or 6 black guys, and 2 or 3 maybe white guys. Maybe you throw Jerry West in there. I don't know as well. That's the real value of that league to me. Now, which of them are got hundreds of billions of dollars? None of them. Not even Michael Jordan. I mean, the guy at Nike probably 20 times richer than Michael Jordan, the Nike guy. There is no Nike without Michael Jordan. So yeah, Mike worked his ass off so that what's his name, Bill Knight's children can die with hundreds of billions of dollars. That's the value of MJ working hard. That's how I look at it. They got billions of dollars. Deion Sanders, Bo Jackson worked their asses off. So Bill Knight's grandchildren can be worth, hundreds of dollars. Lucky Sperm Club members. So that's my nuanced view of this black man working hard shit.
Well, they keep hitting the reset button, and when they produce these things that help promote and pay for single mothers, that's hitting the reset button on your family every goddamn time. Every time. If you don't keep an intact family together to help guide you, like the Manning family, like the Sanders are doing now, and other families in sports that are doing that, the Bosa family and all that. When you don't keep that family intact, and these brothers ain't getting married and having children, you hit the reset button on your kids. Your kids got to start over when they grow up
It's funny
with
you
just their
mentioned.
mother.
It's funny you mentioned the Bosa family.
What about them?
Because I guess y'all don't know who Bosa's what father or grandfather, what a great grandfather was, right?
I don't know who that great grandfather
Nah.
was.
I will use this term Chicago family.
Oh
And I'll
wow!
end it there.
Wow!
Yes.
Okay.
And you don't have to talk that much about it, but I'm just, we don't want to, but yes.
Oh, we ain't gonna talk about it at all. We just gonna take your word for it.
The channel
When
under
you
review
mentioned
right
Bosa,
now.
I was like, oh,
Yeah,
that was an
yeah,
interesting reference.
yeah.
But yeah, it's still the family still together for whatever means they still together.
That's
Yeah.
a good way. That's a good way to put it. Yeah.
And I'm gonna throw it out there right now, y'all. The channel is under review right now, literally. Okay. For the people who looking for the super chat, yeah, I put that stuff in. So the channel is literally under review right now. So I'm gonna say it's good to come from something, but yeah, a lot of us we gotta come from just about nothing. Because that reset button can be dangerous. And I've always had the mentality that you work hard so you can get the stuff you want. What is the point in working hard if you cannot get what you actually want? It. So I'm with you with the thought process of we should be trying to work hard so somebody else's family can be blessed so much more than our own. My thing is if I'm working hard and you can't give me what I want, I can't work with you. It's that simple at the end of the day for me. And I know it from a business
Well,
owner perspective. Well, go ahead. Go ahead.
I didn't really say I got too worked up. I didn't really say what I intended to say with talking about the valuation of the historical valuation of the league. Because while I agree with MJ from an ethics standpoint, when I look at it, I okay, I don't want to decry other black men And I feel, I have certain views about LeBron James, certain views about Kevin Durant. Maybe less so. I'm a little more neutral about Kevin Durant. I think some of LeBron's behavior is kind of connected with the whole single mother thing. It's kind of bitch made, but I won't get too deep into that.
Damn.
But I don't begrudge those black men being able to become billionaires off of what Michael Jordan and what Magic Johnson created. That's my thing. What Isaiah Thomas created. I don't begrudge those men as much. Whatever I might feel about them as players, whatever I might feel about some of their character issues. If there's going to be a new billionaire NBA player, I'd rather it be LeBron than fucking Luka Doncic, frankly.
But I'm with you there 100%. And you know, um, to me, you know, as time goes on, I mean, I'm not wishing nothing bad on the NBA, but as time goes on, eventually black men gonna have a league that's gonna replace the NBA, and I'm gonna be
I don't
happy
think.
about that too,
I
because
don't think so.
it's gonna happen
I
because
don't think so.
we have abilities and potentials to get things done now that we haven't had in the past. So what I'm saying is with the work ethic here, technology being here, the different advancements black men have been able to make in this country being here, things can change over time and things could look very different if certain things are taken advantage of at the end of the day. Now it's up to the individuals to do it. And again, I do believe you'll work for the stuff you want. It's good to have a hard working mentality. Let me go work hard, do what I got to do. And I'm not saying you don't work smart when you work hard, because people act like you have to pick between the two. You don't have to pick between working smart and working hard. You can do both at the same time, which will give you a greater result. So at the end of the day, yeah, I'm not with black men working so everybody else can benefit, but I do believe if you have the right work mentality, you can do a lot more stuff for your own personal benefit, so your own personal gain. A lot of folks talk about the side hustle mentality. I like the side hustle mentality, but my thing is, can't you turn your side hustle into your main hustle? Okay, it's nice to get a side hustle to pay a couple bills here and there. It's better to get a side hustle so you can replace your job. So my thing is, do you at least look at it in a way where you can at least try to replace your job with? Maybe it's not going to be as successful and it can't truly replace it, but why not try? Because that goes into a work ethic at some point. Yeah, you may have to work full time for somebody else, but at least see if your side hustle can take off and become the main thing. You know, that's a work
Yeah, I
mentality.
mean, I think a lot of, I think it, obviously depends on what kind of side hustle you're doing and what it's connected to. A lot of it is, and I think Nameless was talking about it earlier. What sort of support system do you have in your personal life where you feel empowered to take those chances? MJ felt empowered to take those chances because of his upbringing, because of his support system, uh, because of the ethics. I think that his parents and they also took chances. We saw the movie where they took some chances in terms of bargaining with Nike. He didn't get as much out of that in hindsight as he should have gotten out of it. His family didn't get as much of that deal. And part of what happened there, and this is where the collusion occurs, and this is where the limits of working hard. Um, this is the NBA had these regulations about ownership and certain things that players can participate in, and can you own the shoe company? All these kinds of things to limit the ability of a Michael Jordan from totally maximizing the benefit of of his greatness. Now, those things kind of changed over time as players got more power and influence in their own right. Certain things they could do, where they could include in negotiation of their collective bargaining agreement that allowed them more economic flexibility. But you come into the league in the 80s, it's still very sort of white dominated and legally and whatever. And it kind of depresses your ability to fully maximize the benefit of how great you are. And that's why, like I say, you end up 30 years later, and yeah, you're a billionaire, but the folks at Nike got 10, 15, 20 times more money than you got off from you.
And this is where the greatness of LeBron comes in. LeBron didn't just come in the league and make money on his own. He helped a team of brothers make some money.
Yeah, LeBron did a great job in that regard. I give him a lot of credit. I give them a lot of credit for doing things. Now, I'm a little suspicious of the tactics. I think they're going a little bit too far, and I think it's starting to reverse back on them to some degree. But yeah, no, I definitely give them credit for taking more control over the benefit of of the value that LeBron has had. These 25 years or however long he's been quote LeBron.
Yeah,
Well,
and
They've done a great job.
that's
I'm
what we're
saying,
supposed to do. The next generation is supposed to be greater than the last. So, like, if you have Jordan who came along with Nike and then come with the Jordan brand, and LeBron, if he's able to take lessons from that and to see, or have conversations with guys like Mike or guys around Mike to say where the pitfalls were, he's supposed to be better than the last. Each generation is supposed to be better than the last. So, it's something to build on.
absolutely. And I'm gonna say shout out to you with that LeBron reference. I was muted when I said it because I was trying to tell you I see what you did right there, just so you know. I mean, but shout out to LeBron. But I just want you to know I do see what you on right now. I do see it. Just so you know. We talk more in Bible study, but I do see what you on. Okay. You ain't I ain't missed nothing. Okay. But I would say this and part of where the greatness come from though is us taking advantage of these certain opportunities. We as black men, some of us just had opportunity that other of us didn't have. Michael Jordan being one of those guys, and there was an image of, and I'm not gonna say it happened that way, but there was an image of him doing it on his own or by himself. So I got to give LeBron props for doing something. So black men can say, no, it's not me doing it by myself. I'm doing things with a team of people. I mean, even Shaq said he wanted to get a degree for something, and I don't remember which degree it is, but y'all know Shaq a PhD. So if he ever comes to the show, we got to give Shaq PhD privilege, believe it or not. Even
Criminal justice. He's got a criminal justice degree.
Yeah, so there we go. Right, the criminal justice degree. But for him to do it because he wanted to do something more hands-on. He was working with Phoenix University, I believe it was, and they told him, "Well, we can't give you a regular class like that unless it's gonna have at least 15 students." So Shaq just said, "All right, cool," and just paid for other guys to get their degrees. So we don't have to do it by ourselves, even though that's been kind of what the image has been, that you may be the person who makes the big money, you the star person, and then you got to kind of do it by yourself. No, we can actually build our own teams around us. Even Drake has said,
But
why don't you say real quick? Even Drake has said, oh, go ahead, Black. Go ahead.
well, I mean, understand though, those opportunities don't exist without Magic and Michael. They don't. They don't exist
Right.
at all. The greatness of Magic and Michael And I emphasize them in particular because there have been a lot of great players, and I don't want to give the impression that I'm choosing favorites. But if you look at what the NBA is and became over time, it's only been really a handful of guys who had an influence over that. Like people don't talk enough about Julius Erving, Dr. J, for example. Dr. J is the father of modern basketball. All of your favorite players or your favorite players wanted to be Julius Erving. Magic wanted to be Julius Erving. Isaiah wanted to be Julius Erving. There's a direct separation in modern basketball between the NBA prior to like 1973, 1974, and after. There is no the merger that was to acquire Julius Erving. There is no modern basketball, the style of basketball. There is no the what we watch today, what we appreciate today, the particular kind of play. That came from Doc. You don't have that without Dr. J. I mean, think about when we watch those old films and whatever, they weren't doing what Julius Erving was doing. And then he affected the people who came after him, which of course included Darrell Griffin and obviously Michael Jordan, Dominique Wilkins, Magic Johnson. Magic Johnson talked about, visiting his idol Julius Erving before he even, started with the Lakers. So there are some people, certain black men who made that league what it is. And none of them own teams now. And only one of them ever owned a team.
That's
really own one. I mean, I guess Magic has participated in ownership, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, he wasn't the majority owner. So yeah. And you know what? I'm glad you said it the way you said it because it's all true when you think about how that league has went, and it's really on the backs of a few particular stars at the end of the day. And that's not me saying nothing bad about every guy who played in the NBA. I got a certain respect for all of them because you made it into the league. Even the guys that didn't stick into the league for a long time, you got in there at some point, even if it was just on the 10-day. You got in there. So I'm gonna give you certain levels of respect. But as far as the fanfare and who carried the image of the league and things like that, yeah, it's probably 10 players or less that league really soared on. When we get down to business. And I do want black men to start benefiting more from what they do because as things change and we now have more opportunities, I'm just saying there's an ability for us to benefit more. And we just have to be smart about how we go about it. And we definitely have to encourage black men to make certain moves that everybody just won't understand in the moment. Because sometimes we lose out on a lot of potential because somebody don't do things because other people didn't understand it in that moment. So, would there be a league to replace the NBA? I'm saying yes. Eventually, there will be a black-owned league that's going to replace the NBA. There's been a lot put in place to make sure something like that never happens. But how much longer can that actually sit the way it's sitting? It's too much potential out here.
We have the big three right now.
Well, I mean, they're having a fit over that. Yeah. And that's not even designed to replace the NBA. But look at the fit they're having just because of its existence.
Yeah, but it doesn't have to be designed to replace the NBA. It's got the foundation that's necessary. So this is what I mean by it'll never happen. Like this victory's got the foundation necessary. It's bringing in the older guys, getting some play. It's got the stardom, and it should be more popular. You need people to support it, i.e., black people need to go in and support the league. And then you need some of the current players to kind of help support it and bring it along as well. And eventually, it can go from the 3-on-3 to a 5-on-5 because the NBA has no control over it. But
Exactly, and I'm
it
sure
needs
the
support.
NBA and I'm sure the NBA will try to do everything it can to stop its players from supporting in some kind of way. I'm pretty sure they're gonna try to do that, but at the end of the
You're
day,
gonna have to look at that. You're gonna have to look at that collective bargaining agreement to know just what players, can or cannot do in that regard. I would imagine there is some criteria and some anti-competitive criteria in that agreement that dissuades active players from assisting, what the league would be considered to be a competitive league. So, but I don't know. I've never looked at the agreement. I'm just saying from my general understanding of business, I would assume that there are some. Now, my understanding was that apparently, what's the guy who is pretty sort of bold, played for the Celtics, um, Brown. Um, uh,
yeah, I
All
know.
Star player. What's his name?
Yeah, Brown is his
Uh,
name. I know you're talking about. Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
I don't know why I can't think of.
He
It.
apparently attended some of Cube's and games and appeared to try to provide some sort of PR assistance in that regard. Uh, so maybe there is some opportunity for players to help. I don't know.
I'm sure the league will come up with everything they can. The NBA will come up with everything they can. So, um, active players will be limited on what they can and can't do with the big three, whether they call it by name in a collective bargaining agreement or not. They're going to play some type of interruption game as far as that's concerned. That's going to
Well,
happen.
to circle back to the point of the whole show is that's where the hard work comes in. See, somebody's got to know they got to be the first, and the first is not always the one that benefits the most. But if the generations behind me are going to benefit, and it's worth it to me to put in the work so the generations behind me benefit, and I'm willing to be unselfish, bro, it can work. We have to not be selfish, and we have to see ourselves as a community and go forward as a community. We can't always be looking at how much am I making right now? What am I getting right now? You got to be looking at what's coming behind me. That's how we're going to improve as a people. And that's why I say we ain't going to never have a lead. We're too selfish.
Yeah, and shout out to Jalen Brown. I know his name was slipping, but that's a very brilliant young
Jalen.
man. Real talk, yeah. And he's very brilliant outside of. I'm not talking about his NBA or his basketball IQ. He got that too. That's just a brilliant man. Period. Like real talk. If y'all
Well, and
learn
it
a little bit
does
about his
take some.
background, oh, go ahead.
It does take some ability to sacrifice, because he was denied a spot on the recent Olympic basketball team because of some comments he's made, some criticism he's expressed about Nike, who was the chief sponsor, which is corrupt in itself, was the chief sponsor of the U.S. basketball team. That's why he was denied the MVP or the finals MVP, all star player, all NBA player was not allowed on the U.S. Olympic team. That was him paying the cost of being the caliber of man that he is. That's what you're requiring uh, black men to be willing to do. And so there is a real, and in his case, an immediate cost to to being an independent mind and independent acting black man,
Yeah, and
relatively
I'm
speaking.
I'm gonna say because like I said, this work ethic thing goes to the everyday man. I'm just use the NBA as a focal point to kind of home in on the ideas, but You got to pay a cost to be the boss. Okay, I think that was a James Brown lyric. That's a real thing. So Jalen, that was just part of Jalen's cost to be the boss the way he is in his particular life. That was just part of his cost. So, when I said earlier about, 6 championships, but only get to play 15 years, I mean, it could be seen as a better thing. Yeah, you will. There's a certain cost that comes with it at the end of the day, but there's a cost that comes to everything. You pay a certain cost to work at a location and then become the manager. There's a certain cost to getting the management role. There's a certain cost to being a vice president of a company and whatever different department you're vice president in. There are certain costs that we are going to have to bear. But if we are willing to if enough of us are willing to bear the cost, we get to dictate a lot about the world that we live in at the end of the day. And I'm a person just simply believes the cost is the right price. I can't tell you what the price will personally be for any particular individual, but the cost to move our people in the direction that we should go is the right price. You know, what would you pay to put your daughter in a private school? Got to think about it like that. You know, whatever you paid, were you overcharged or did you pay the right price? You know, to make sure your son was
Well,
able to come up. All right, go ahead, brother.
well, it's interesting when you talk about the price, um, because when I look over history, I see black men paying a terrible price and getting very little of the benefit of it. Like, I mean, I think we have to really be kind of honest about, I mean, there's this sort of general view about working hard and paying the price. And then there's this thing where black men pay the biggest price, like the biggest price, and get like a quarter of a penny to a dollar. The Tuskegee Airmen, you know, Michael Jackson, Prince, Michael Jordan, Massachusetts 54, you know, I mean, the Buffalo Soldiers, where you do everything, you make everything. You build the fucking White House, right? You build the fucking railroads, right? In chain gangs, you build the railroads. They create a system where they lock you up, re-enslave you. You build the railroads that then provide the commerce and the wealth for your enslavers and their children and grandchildren and great grandchildren and great grandchildren, generations hence. I mean, that's what you're really talking about from the perspective of a black man working hard historically in this country. So, I mean, if we're going to talk about working hard, I'm much more like figure out a way how you can get it and get the most of it and try not to destroy yourself in the process. Because ain't nobody gonna pay you for croaking on a job. Ain't nobody gonna bring you back to life croaking, making somebody else a billionaire. Ain't nobody gonna pay you for that. They not gonna take care of your family for that. Or people who care and depend on you and love you. They're not. They're gonna forget you.
Yeah.
They're gonna fucking forget you. And it's in their best interest to forget you. And because I was talking about Deacon Jones and And Eric Dickerson. Meanwhile, the Dallas Cowboys franchise is worth 15 billion dollars. Jerry Jones' son ain't played a fucking down in the NFL, has he? But that's
Not
what
at
he's
all.
going to inherit. So that's why I say I have a nuanced view of this working hard thing, especially from the perspective of a black man.
Okay. No, and I think that nuanced view helps a lot because, after saying all that, I'm gonna say black men need to make sure that we are working toward getting what we want at the end of the day, and make sure the price that we pay is a price that equivalates betterment for our people and our personal families. Because if you work real hard to die for somebody else's family, I mean, that's great for the family that you worked hard for. Now, my thing is, if you work real hard and you die for your family, then now everything's aligned. So, live a little longer, enjoy life a little bit more, and make sure you're doing it for your own. Now, Black Rule, do you have any last words you want to say, Black Rule? And I'm gonna let these guys get a
No,
last statement.
I can go on and on. I like to say you kind of got me into a particular.
No.
You got me kind of into a particular. Yeah.
I definitely appreciate you adding that perspective that I know I wouldn't necessarily have added unless you went there. So, and I do think that is part of because I'm never gonna say working hard is bad, but we have more opportunities now. So my thing is, who are you working hard for? It should play just as big a role as if you're gonna work hard or not. So that does need to be at the
Yeah,
forefront.
my uncle used to do my uncle he is struggling now. We don't necessarily know how things are going to go, but we're praying, or at least those of us who believe in that thing. He used to work streets and sanitation for Chicago. When the rest of us were in our beds in the blizzard of '79 or whatever, he was in the truck running up and down the streets in Chicago, towing cars out of, ice impactments. And I mean, he worked hard, like real hard. And he did okay economically. I mean, maybe better than many of his peers of the time. But when I think about how comfortably everybody else, especially those who were not black in the city of Chicago, were able to live because of the sacrifices he made and the injuries he sustained and the health impacts that he is enduring today, it just makes me a lot more circumspect about a black man, the actual value of his working hard. And he was a brilliant man. There were lots of other things he could have done with his life, but he was a black man born in the Mississippi Delta in the early 1940s or whatever. So it's a different kind of the return on investment in his education, in his training, in his hard working was not there as it was for other folks. So to some degree, maybe I'm venting somewhat because of what I am observing personally.
Nah, I think it still led to the exact message that we needed to add with this, because working hard should be considered but working hard for who should be just as much considered. Real talk. And I'm gonna say shout out to Shark Sims. He done slipped out because I was gonna call him to say this to give a closing statement. But shout out to you, Shark, for slipping on out the back door, nice and easy and silently. I do want to say, y'all, because I don't know if I did it yesterday. I'm going to apologize to Perfect Timing because he was here yesterday. We had a small issue yesterday, and I don't know if I publicly apologized to Perfect. So, Perfect, if you're listening, my bad, my brother. My apologies to you at the end of the day. It just is what it is. I took your side, point blank, period. And that's just how it's gonna be. So I'm gonna say I apologize to you, brother, for ain't even getting that far. Kevin, any last statement you want to make? Okay. Kevin might be in the bathroom. He must have went to the bathroom. Okay. Hey, shout out to y'all. It's been a great show.
My bad.
Oh,
I'm here.
Roger.
I'm here.
Did you wash your hands? Did you wash your hands?
It's like that.
Yeah. Real quick. I dried them off on Gold P shirt.
What we doing?
I was gonna say I appreciate Uru's wisdom as always, and we kind of ended up on the cost of our labor, the cost of our sacrifice, and it's like buying a car. I can go buy a car today for $10,000. Somebody else will tell me they could have got it for $8,000, but it was worth $10,000 when I bought it, and my money was good. So I think each individual man, you have to ask each individual man at the time that they were sacrificing themselves, was it worth it to them? And if the answer is yes, then the answer is yes.
Okay, well said. Well said. All right, y'all. We got other folks who are coming up for the after show because it be fun in the after show sometimes, and what we like to call Bible study be a lot of fun about. We get the word in, but a lot of fun happens in Bible study too. So now Gold P, technically, you did make it up here earlier in the show. So did you want to make any? Lord have mercy. Do you want to make any final statement before we close it out, bro?
Why I gotta? Why? What's with all the size and stuff?
We just had a whole lot of wisdom from Black Uru, and I dare say we just got a whole lot of wisdom from Kevin. Yo, are you gonna mess the streak up?
You see what I'm saying?
No, I'm saying whether you gonna crack a joke or say something that's real. That's all I'm saying.
Yo.
Now, if you just came up for the after show, which could have been the case, you could have just been coming for the after show. I'm just giving you the mic because technically
I was
you
coming
was here
to get
early.
my last words, but no, you had to be a problem.
Excuse me, Gold P. Would you like to make any?
I came up to ask a question. Were you gonna apologize to me for all that misbehavior you were displaying, bro?
You know what, Gold P? Real talk. Before I close the show out, y'all have a great weekend because I do appreciate everybody who's coming. But before I close the show out, because he just said that right here on air, I want everybody to listen to me very closely.
Go ahead.
I want to give my deepest apology, and I mean this sincerely, y'all. Real talk. To Perfect Timing Podcast. I really appreciate you, brother. I'm sorry for what happened yesterday. I'm sorry you had to go through that. I'm sorry I didn't jump to your side quick enough. So shout out to Perfect Timing Podcast. We appreciate you big time. And I just want to make sure that was a very clear thing that everybody heard. Y'all heard what Gold P say, and y'all hear me emphasizing that I really do appreciate Perfect Timing Podcast. I missed you today. I missed you today. And I can't wait to see you later on down the road. Y'all have a great weekend. Long live the Habitual Last Tempers.
You ain't Ish Roger.
Long live the Habitual Last Tempers.
These are my brothers for the
I'm Roger.
everybody in the crowd. These are
I'm
my
right.
He's right.
And I'm out.
Yes, sir.